I'll call this Bang Bang.
Seriously?
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass.
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up. Pull up, bitch.
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass.
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up.
Objection. Objection.
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up. KO. Bang bang.
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up. You're a bitch, bro.
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass.
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up. Right?
Yeah.
The bang bang, the bang bang. Pull up. The bang bang, the bang bang. Pull up.
Bang, bang.
Right?
Yeah.
The bang bang, the bang bang. Pull up. The bang bang, the bang bang.
Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Bang, bang.
All right, Mr. Lally, your next witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor, the Commonwealth calls Trooper Michael Proctor to the stand. Please state your name and spell your last name for the jury.
Michael Proctor, Proctor.
You're a bitch, bro.
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up.
I'm going to allow it.
Bang, bang.
I will fuck you up. I will beat your ass. I will fuck you up.
I'm going to allow it.
Bang, bang.
My name's Aidan Kearney,
also known as Turtle Boy.
He is a senior editor for Turtle Boy Daily News.
I'm a big fan.
We've broken hundreds of stories that the mainstream media won't touch.
Some blogger in Massachusetts who's getting to the bottom of this better than anybody.
Why is it Turtle Boy that is covering such important issues? Where is the rest of the media?
You did not say that you were gonna take my baby out of revenge and make him a transgender baby.
Stop it.
Don't you want to ask some questions? I know you do.
I do. I have that.
People don't like the things that I say and want me to stop saying them, but I won't. I'm never gonna stop. These are the kind of stories that must be told.
And I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. And we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen Reed.
Tick, tick, boom. Boys, go baby, we bringing our toys. Boys, chopper be singing, should be on the voice. Bang, bang, we gon' ride out. Gang, gang, we don't die out. Want it like this, ain't no timeouts. Tell me who really gon' find out.
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets.
Karen Reed has supporters who've shown up in large numbers.
Tick, tick, boom.
Hard body, and not scaring nobody. You make me resort to wildin'. You must be blind by the diamonds. I didn't want it to be this way, but y'all won't need to try this. So it's no way around it. You the loudest one, it's going quiet. We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep.
This is the first time I think I've ever seen this. An outpouring of support for someone accused of murdering a Boston police officer. Unbelievable situation. Never seen anything like it.
Tick, tick, boom. You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me? You can't stop me, so who gon' stop me?
We be disturbing the peace. Working, we serving the streets. About to go ahead, going beast. Bang, bang, leave you sleep. It's go, 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 go time.
boom.
We're going to fix this. Testing. Can you guys hear me now? Is that better? All right, we're good. We're good. I think we're good now. Anyway, boomer moment there. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Cool. All right, I'm getting a million. You're muted messages, but that's all good. All right, guys, welcome to the live show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Turtle Riders everywhere. My name is Aidan Kearney. I'm a member of Canton's Most Wanted. I go by Clarence Woods Emerson on Facebook. You could follow me on there. I do a bus stop live every morning, but I can't live stream till March like 8th or 9th. So follow my other account, which is my real name, Aidan Kearney on Facebook. Some people call me Uncle Turtle Boy. That's my old school Turtle Rider name. I prefer doctor. If I'm being perfectly honest, it's my preferred pronoun. And I thank everybody that calls me that and refers to me that, because I must insist that you recognize my doctorate. Also acceptable, but not required, is daddy. I will allow it going forward. I can understand that can be a little bit creepy for some people. I get it. However, I think it's more than appropriate in several cases, because I am these motherfuckers' daddy, aren't I? You can call me A. Timothy Kearney. That's my true crime name when I'm out in the woods solving mysteries, murder mysteries in a leather jacket, just kind of deep in thought. That's me. So I don't care what you call me. Just be here every Tuesday and Saturday night at 9 p.m. sharp, and make sure you smash that subscribe button. We just passed 103,000 subs. Let's go for 104. Might as well go for 1 million. Let's just do it. Fuck it. Let's dominate life. Because, growing in days like today, it's like nothing but free promotion for Turtle Boy. Give me 1 second. I just want to fix this camera. Annoying the fuck out of me. All right, there we go. Hold up. I'm not blending in, am I? All right, cool. That works. That's better. All right, cool. So yeah, today was a good day. And I'll tell you one thing real quick. We're going to get it all. Today was crazy, obviously. But I just want to start off by saying that lost in all this shit that happened today, don't forget that, and I tweeted this out earlier, the 3 people who the Commonwealth is most threatened by, because they've done the most to expose government corruption in the Commonwealth and expose who really killed John O'Keefe, are Alan Jackson, ARCCA, and Turtle Boy. That's just a fact. Okay. And Karen Reed too, obviously, but she's kind of the main character, so she doesn't count. But she's obviously behind the scenes exposing a lot. None of this would be happening without Karen Reed, advocating for herself. Obviously, she's the one that got Alan Jackson. Eventually, she didn't get me. I found this case on my own, but obviously, jig is up. We talked on the phone a couple times here and there, but either way, there's a reason that they're coming after us, right? Like their goal is not. They know they can't beat us, so they try to silence us. And I had more respect for Adam Lally, because at least he fought. He fought and didn't, very well. Like he wasn't good at fighting. We all know that. He wasn't equipped, but at least he tried to fight, right? And put up some sort of fight. Hanky is afraid of the fight. Hanky knows he doesn't want this fight. And he doesn't want any, like he really took his anger out of me today. Let me tell you. We got into there was a serious staring contest going on in there. You'll see it when he's talking about me. I'm just sitting. I'm 5 feet away from him. He's like talking shit about me. I'm right here, dude. I'm right here. And then later on in the hearing, you don't see it. I'm sitting there and minding my own business. on my computer, which is being spied on by Court TV or whoever. And I look over and Spanky's just standing there at the podium staring at me. Just staring at me. It's like so awkward, like this angry, menacing stare, like he's some sort of badass. You could tell he's been watching the show. He does not like being called Spanky. Doesn't like it. He's not used to this sort of treatment. So he's staring at me and I'm like, okay, guess we're having an old school stare off, aren't we? Old school staring competition. So I just looked at him and started staring. And I won. Daddy won because he looked eventually he looked down. Like he's just like, I can't look this man in the eyes anymore. He's looking, I was looking deep into his soul and I didn't see much. All I saw was weakness and cowardice because that's all Hank Brennan is. He's a coward. He's afraid of people who challenge him. He wants to take the easy way out, right? And how can he take the easy way out with the Karen Reed case? Well, got to get Turtle Boy out of the courtroom and then get Alan Jackson out of the courtroom and get ARCCA out of the courtroom. That's his 3-pronged plan. That's it. That's how he thinks he's going to defeat Karen Reed, is get these people out of the courtroom. So that's all today was, guys. Don't forget that. A lot of people are hung up on this whole thing today about like, Pro Hoc Vice going to be taken away. And, is this rule violated? And did he say this on this day about ARCCA? And should he send this? It's all a smokescreen, all of it. And it's all happening because they don't like what ARCCA says. That's it. That's all this comes down to. ARCCA said that John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. And those guys are fucking convincing because they're polished and well-spoken and well-dressed and handsome and charming and wicked smart, and they have PhDs and they're just so confident, and they get up there and they're a big problem. They're a real big problem for the Commonwealth because their whole case is this woman hit him with a car. And then these guys come up with their suits and they're like, actually, he wasn't hit by a car. It's actually impossible. And I'd like to explain it to you in nerd talk in the most nerdy way possible. And you're going to believe me because fuck it. I'm just so confident in the things that I'm saying. And here's all my degrees and here's my CV and all these other things I've, all this stuff. And they're just looking at him. And Hank is definitely smarter than Lally. I'll give him that. But he's more of a coward. At least Lally faced them. He didn't try to, he never really tried hard to get them off the case. He never tried to get Alan Jackson off the case. He didn't mind losing. Lally's like the lovable loser. He's not really lovable though, but he is a loser, and he's a good loser. Like he's the consummate loser. Like Adam Lally was born to lose. That was just how God made him. This poor guy, he can live a nice middle class lifestyle. He go to law school, got a job at the DA's office, never really going to, amount to much more than that. And he's going to have a nice life. Okay. With his kids, he's going to coach Little League in Attleboro, and it's going to be fine. It doesn't matter how bad Lally is at his job every day, because he gets to go home to his cheese sandwich and his kids and throw on, maybe have sex once a month, something like that. But not, Hanky is not like Lally. Like Hanky is he wants to win. He's used to winning, and he doesn't take well to losing. And so he's trying his best. And then he's realizing that, oh shit, this is not, how am I going to win this case with these experts? Like, how can I beat ARCCA? I can't beat ARCCA. They're going to come up here and they're going to say he wasn't hit by a car. And then I'm going to be like, yeah, but I got Trooper Paul. And, and then even the jury that voted to convict Karen Reed was like, yeah, Trooper Paul had nothing to do with it. Actually, we just came up with that on our own. That was basically their thought process was, yeah, we didn't really listen to that guy because he's a fucking idiot. We just were like, she's drunk and he's drunk, and she was arrested, so gotta be guilty, right? I mean, that's what Ronnie basically told us was the conversation in that deliberation room. So is what it is. I mean, he's just a coward. He's just so afraid. And that's all this was today. This was he realized we're getting close to trial and I got to do something about Action Jackson. He's a problem. And I got to do something about ARCCA. They're a problem. He's the testimony last trial. He saw how effective he was with Jennifer McCabe and Michael Proctor. It just, he can't that guy. So he's got to get rid of him. Now, will he be successful? I doubt it. At the end, I would not be this worried about it, guys. Worst case scenario, if Alan Jackson is not allowed back. I mean, that's appealable. First of all, it will delay the start of the trial. It's a serious issue. She has a Sixth Amendment right. I think it's a Sixth Amendment right to choose the counsel of her choice. A judge can't just say, well, no, you can't have that lawyer. I mean, that she has a right to a defense, a vigorous defense. And Alan Jackson, if that's the lawyer she wants, then that's got to be, she's got a right to it. You can't just take it away because why? Oh, we violated a protective order by mentioning something in a motion that he shouldn't have, or, oh, he misrepresented something. Come on. It's the odds of that happening are slim to none. I think that Aunty Bev just likes giving them a hard time. I'm convinced. And I was telling some people in court today this. I think that if this went to a bench trial, if Karen Reed took this to a bench trial, that Aunty Bev would acquit her of all charges. I really believe that. I do not believe that she would convict her of anything. I know some people don't because they're like, she's a bitch, whatever. She's just a bitch, though. Like, I think she just likes being a cunt. I think that's all it comes down to. I don't think she would convict Karen. She knows Karen Reed is innocent, but she just doesn't like the jib of her sales. She doesn't like the lawyers. I think she would acquit her. I really, truly do. I think she has a better shot of acquittal. I think she's going to get acquitted either way, but I just think it's more of a guarantee with Aunty Bev. I really do. I believe it. However, I think that's why she wants it to go to trial, because she doesn't like Karen Reed. And she's like, fuck it. I'll leave it up to a jury. Maybe they'll convict her. And then I can say, like, she'll probably sleep better at night. Well, I didn't convict her because I know she's innocent. I didn't do it. It was them. I think she would. I think that would be the ideal scenario for Aunty Bev. And I really feel that she just wants to pass the buck onto a jury. I think that's a good situation for her. And she gets to get her hair done and be on national TV, and she feels cool, and she's Aunty Bev. And, judges all have her back. And I don't know. Most of you guys probably disagree with me. I think that Aunty Bev would acquit her. And however, I also think that if a jury convicted her, God forbid, which I don't think will ever happen, I think that she would gladly throw the book at her. Like, whatever the maximum is, that's what Karen Reed would get. Because Aunty Bev fucking hates her, but she knows that she's innocent. So anyway, most of you guys probably disagree with me. I'm reading the chat, but that's okay. We can agree to disagree. But anyway, guys, if you guys have any messages that you'd like to have read out loud to the class tonight, any special messages, you can't do super chats because I've been demonetized for a hot minute, almost 4 years now, because I had the wrong opinions about the COVID vaccine. The mandatory nature of it a few years ago, was against it. Turned out to be right, and never got it. Still here. Still have all my years, everything survived. Awesome. But yeah, anyway, you can't do super chats. So we had to build our own platform. It's called Turtle Chat, which is great because YouTube takes like 40% of all the money. So we just built our own thing. It's called Turtle Chat. If you click at the link at the top, that brings you to Turtle Chat, and you can pay for any amount of money you want. There's no price. Like, we serve poor, rich, middle class, mostly middle class and rich, but some poors, and you can donate whatever you want or pay for whatever you want. And I will read the message out loud to the class. Okay. And you can also cash at me at $ Uncle Turtle Boy, and we can do it that way. So let me start off with some turtle chats here. Got a good crowd tonight. Nice to see. All right. Must be getting closer to trial. Okay. Laura sends $10, goes, Dear Dr. Turtle Boy, it was lovely to meet you and sweet Meredith at court today. Keep doing what you're doing. Was that you I met at the end, Laura LL? You're very nice. Thank you very much. Great meeting you too. John sends $10, goes, do you see if Aunty Bev changed her mood when she realized Hanky lied to her about the emails were actually from defense? Did you see if she changed her mood? No, I don't think so. I think she was the same cunty mood that she always was, but thank you for asking. Misty sends $5 and says, hey, Doc, so we all saw how nervous Bev got. What did she look like in real life? She just looked angry, upset, and I'm going to say it. Some people are going to call me sexist for this or a massage therapist or whatever, but it's true, and you guys need to hear it. What you saw on display today from Aunty Bev at the end of that hearing is why women couldn't vote until 1920. Okay. That's not an opinion. It's just a fact. Okay. That's not saying I don't think women should have the right to vote, because I do, but that type of irrational, emotional outburst is like what men for centuries pointed to and said, see that's why y'all don't get to make decisions right there. And that's not being sexist. And if you don't like it, go fuck yourself. Okay. It's just the truth. I mean, you guys couldn't vote till 1920. That's a fact. That's a fucking fact that you could not vote until 1920. Why? Why couldn't you people vote until 1920? Why? Why not? Why wouldn't they let you guys vote? Why? What were the arguments? Look it up. What were the historical arguments that men made explaining why women shouldn't be able to vote? One of the biggest arguments was, you guys are too fucking emotional. You're not rational human beings. Now, I disagree with that because I'm a feminist. Okay. I'm a massage therapist. I'm not a massage therapist. I'm sorry. I'm a feminist. Right. But and it's not me. I see some people in the chat. You're not even fucking listening. And see, if you're one of these women in the chat being like, oh my God, I'm so offended by that, you're proving my fucking points for me. You know that because you're getting emotional about it. Calm the fuck down and think rationally, like Nancy here, who's going, wow. I see Nancy in the chat's going, wow, that's the point, Nancy. You're missing it. Okay. You know, I'm fucking right. It's just a fact. Could women vote till 1920? No, you couldn't vote till 1920. You needed a fucking amendment. They let slaves vote like 2 years after they were free. It was like the first thing. Black men, you can vote, right? Women, no, don't be ridiculous. That's how people thought. Okay. Don't blame the messenger. I'm telling you what people thought. And Aunty Bev put women's rights back today, like 100 years with her reaction. Because I'm telling you, a male judge would not do that. A male judge would not do what Aunty Bev did today. And it's just fucking true. And you know it. She couldn't take it. She had an emotional breakdown and she took her ball and she went home. That's what she did today. She's like, oh my God, I'm so mad. I'm fucking calling it today. I'm fucking have to leave. I'm so mad. Instead of being a fucking adult, a rational adult, taking a deep breath and moving on. That's it. So I'm right. You're wrong. If that offends you, you're in the wrong fucking channel. Okay. See you later. Anyway, so thank you for that one. Kimba sends $10. It goes, hey, doctor, have you checked out Long Island Audit? You guys are in a similar in your journalism skills, free Kearney, free Turtle Boy. I have seen some of his stuff a long time ago. But I don't know if he's following any of this stuff. I think he's one of those 1A auditors, but he's like a much bigger one and less offensive, I think, than some of the other ones. But, yeah, he's cool. I like him. Thank you. Amy sends $50 and goes, what happened with that shitty podcast? Has he paid you yet? No, not yet, but he will. Trust me. If he made any money off it, we're going to find out. So thank you very much for that, Amy. And she says, much love from Michigan. Love my Michiganders. Thank you, Amy. Courtney sends $25. She goes, appreciation Dono for the baddest, most fearless turtle fucker that ever lived. We love you, Daddy. Oh, thank you. I love you too, Courtney. Appreciate that. Let's Let's see. Brittany sends $10 and goes, "Hi, Turtle Boy. What happened today?" Oh, we're going to get into that. Did you ever get a statement from Karen or her team? How bad is this? Overall, how bad is it? It's not bad. I don't think it's that bad. I think they're going to get a chance to explain themselves. And telling you one thing, Alan Jackson is a consummate professional. I don't know all the details of this. I haven't seen all these emails. I don't know what's going on. There will be more time to analyze this as we go on, but I don't think it's going to be bad. Whatever. I mean, give me a break. They're not going to throw someone off the fucking case for this shit. Give me a break. Don't listen to the Twitter chit chat. Everything's going to be fine, folks. This is also not Alan's first scare with Pro Hoc Vice. Like, she threatened to do it like last June she didn't like him going on the courthouse steps and, giving speeches. She didn't like any of that shit, but too bad. Don't run a corrupt courtroom. It is what it is. Do your worst. Exactly. Carly sends $5, goes, during Aunty Bev's recess today, did the defense make Brennan aware of his mistake, or did he realize it on his own? I don't think they did. I didn't see them talking during the recess. They did not know that this was coming today. That's what I'm based on seeing their facial reactions in court. They didn't know that he was going to, share any of this today or misrepresent, what actually happened. And now they realize that they're not dealing with like an honest broker. They're dealing with the douchebag, an unethical guy who is willing to do whatever it takes to win for some reason, even though he's got no shot at winning at all. And it's going to be glorious to watch Hank lose when this is all over. So thank you for that. Next. All right. Iceman 2.0 sends $10, goes, Dr. Turtleboy, what a juxtaposition from what Karen said in the Ted Daniel interview about facing Lally or Brennan. I don't care who we face in trial 2, do your worst. And today Spanky showed us his true colors, a yellow belly coward showing not only does he want ARCCA off the case, but Bederow, Dr. Turtleboy, and Alan Jackson. I know he's also scared of Bederow too. Keep up the great work. Journalism Jesus, hashtag free Karen Reed, hashtag free Dr. Turtleboy. Well, thank you very much. We're going to get to all that. So thank you, Iceman 2.0. Joanne sends 25 and goes, Dr. T, great job on Howie Carr. Also, thank you for being the calm. I'm very calm. That's true. I'm being the calm voice of reason about today. Most of us lost our minds. Well, that's what I'm here to do, guys. I'm here for, at the end of the day, when you want to, sometimes you're living in a world and you're going online and you're like, is everyone crazy? How did the world go so crazy? And then you come on here and I start talking to you in common sense terms and telling you the truth. And you're like, oh, thank God I'm not crazy. Thank God somebody else out there thinks like me and is right and is very calm. That's one thing, the doctor is very calm and composed at all times. And I hardly ever use foul language. I never get upset. I never get emotional. I never just quit in the middle of a job in the middle of the day and say, I'm going home because I'm in a bad mood. I don't do anything like that. And I lost my second born son, Clay. I mean, I've been through trauma. So let's be real. All right. Next up. Let's see. T. Henry Bouchard, true crime specialist, sends $10. Goes, Spanky, take the harmonica out of your mouth and put a dick in it. Oh shit, I'm out. Okay. Bob sends $25. Goes, Turtle Boy, in the long list of Bev's sins, is there anything worse than her subjecting Karen to double jeopardy on charges 1 and 3? I would say not recusing herself from this case to begin with was her biggest crime, but I'm with you on that one, Bob. Resting Bitch Face sends $5 and goes, I think Bev was visibly shaking and upset because she was so terrified she wasn't going to be able to let Dr. Wolf back in for persecution 2.0. She did love that guy. After Spanky lied to her face, because let's get real, we all saw her stare and reaction when Wolf walked in during 1.0. We all watched in real time as your squeaky chair instantly became moist. Yikes. TMI. Thank you very much. Denise sends $10, goes, if Aunty Bev was actually behaving like a real judge, she would have lost her shit today over the fact that the defense still doesn't have the damn video. Exactly. She ought to be furious that the Commonwealth has not complied with her orders. That's what was so fake today about her outrage. Her whole like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like this. And we have to have a huge talk. Bitch, have you had a talk with the Commonwealth ever? Ever? How many times have they not handed in discovery? How many times? They just didn't do it. How many times? They lost John's arm tissue samples. They're just gone. How is she not free? Bro, this is a case where the defense is alleging that he got bit by a dog and they lost the arm tissue samples. We can't test it for DNA. It's just gone. And that's like, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Inverted video was shown in her courtroom, and a sergeant in the Massachusetts State Police said that it was a true and accurate representation of the garage. And it turned out to be inverted. And the left looked like the right, and the right looked like the left, and it was intentionally done. And she was like, next. Didn't bother her at all. Nothing bothers these people. Nothing. Like, she found out that, oh yeah, the lead detective in this case is like best friends. His family calls the Alberts a second family. And that was just never disclosed. Oops. But that's not a big deal. Whoa, no, not. Oh, this person, the star witness, Googled how long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. But whatever, But oh my God. You paid an expert's room and board? Whew, do you mean they didn't pay out of pocket? Holy shit. And honestly, I would argue that Karen Reed didn't even pay it. We paid it. I paid that shit, not me. You guys all. Like, we paid it. That should be the argument that they make. Like, whoa. We didn't pay Daniel Wolf shit. All the women did. All the women that are in love with the crash daddies, they pay for that shit. All the people that donated money, they paid it. It came from them. Alan Jackson didn't pay shit. Karen Reed didn't pay shit. Karen Reed has no money. She's lost everything. She doesn't work. We paid for that shit. You know what I mean? Like, are they kidding me? What world am I living on where they paid it? Like, what? But anyway, so thank you for that one. All right. Let's see. Becky sends $10 and goes, it looked like Aunty Bev had a panic attack when she heard the word feds. She had asked to see that federal information real fast. It seemed like a guilty conscience to me. I know she wanted to. Thank you. Diane says $25 goes to help with your all-star defense, free Turtle and free Karen. Shout out to Kettle One for this turtle chat. Thank you, Diane. Victoria sends $5 goes, can we do a poll on bench versus jury trial? Okay, I can do that. Let me do that real quick. Start a poll. And this should be like in light of, why is this not working? Start a poll. Okay, here it is. All right. So this is the poll question, and it's biasedly worded. In light of my interview with a juror, what kind of trial should Karen Reed have? In light of, like, keep in mind, like, you heard from Ronnie, that shit should scare the fuck out of you. I don't know. That's about like how, oh my God. Thank God they'll never find 12. But God forbid we have another goddamn mistrial. That'd be almost just as bad. Let's see what people say. So we are at 1,000 votes so far, and 65% say jury. So that's okay. Some people see what I'm saying. That's interesting. All right, cool. Thank you. Nicole sends $10, says, I would like to see a micro dots style video where they outline every single lie that Spanky has said in court. It's baffling that he can just spew lie after lie and think it's okay. I know. Well, the witnesses all do. So there's that. Okay, cool. Let me read some cash apps here. the fuck? All right. Sharon sends $5 and goes, only offended because I am a massage therapist. That's my word for misogynist. It's called massage therapists. All right. Richard sends $5, goes, Aunty Bev is such a cunt. No disagreement there, Richard. Michelle sends $10 and goes, add an option, bench trial, no Bev. Unfortunately, it's not an option in real life. So we got to pick one or the other. Thank you, Michelle. Katrina sends $10 and goes, Bev came in court today. Could you tell? Didn't notice that. Thank you, Katrina. Mark sends $10, goes, do you think Judge Cannone will dismiss Alan Jackson? If gun to my head, I would say no. I don't think she will. I don't think she's got the minerals. I mean, that's like, she's already taking enough shit for being blatantly biased towards the Commonwealth. If you get rid of Karen Reed's lawyer too, like, oof, you know, but I don't think she would do that. I also think there's no really getting rid of Alan Jackson. Like, he will work behind, like, he will help out behind. He just won't be he won't be in court doing it, which is really what he's good at, you know, really what he's good at. But you know, they got Alessi and Eliza Little was great today, and David Yannetti's great. But you know, I mean, AJ's the star, let's be honest. And you know, Bederow's great too, but he's not on yet. You know, we'll see what happens. Okay. Next up, we got here Lizney sends $5 and goes, Hoslong for corruption to end. It's GFQ. Thank you, Lizney. Nicole Mon sends $5 and goes, watch the TikTok lawyer with Christina Rex. She's such an idiot. I guess she's like an actual WBZ consultant now. And I want to tell Christina Rex, like, what are you doing? Get away. She's such that woman loves the sound of her own voice. Loves it. Absolute moron. All right, next up. Boston to LA sends $10 and goes, I agree. Bev gave women a bad rep today. So there you go. Thank you, Boston to LAX. Okay, cool. All right. If anybody else wants their messages read, click at the link at the top for Turtle Chat, or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtle Boy, and we can do it that way. Okay, let's just jump right into it. So there's a lot to go over here. So buckle up, folks. We're in for a long one. Probably a 3-hour show tonight, I'm guessing, but it'll be good. All right. All right. All right. Let's pull this up.
Good morning, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin. Good morning, Mr. McLaughlin.
I'm not with the Commonwealth.
Good morning, Mr. Lally.
Good morning, Your Honor. Hank Brennan for.
Good morning, Mr. Brennan.
Good morning, Your Honor. Alan Jackson.
Mr. What I'd like to do is start with, now I don't know if you all have the paper numbers on these. You probably do if you've been looking at mass.
The glare, you were in court.
Commonwealth's motion for records, WFXT TV.
Last week and again last night.
Okay.
And on behalf of Fox of Boston 25, we are
Okay.
agreeing to my motion in its entirety. They've asked for the courtesy if I could wait until March 1st to receive all the information. I expect they'll file it with the court.
Okay.
And so with the court's permission, I would ask before March 1st.
Okay. Order is right to save you from forensically sound paper. Defendant's motion to compel production of a forensically sound copy.
The 6th about the download of the video footage that apparently has been stored, or at least we believed at the time last week had been stored on some sort of an iCloud. We were told that this was an account of a retired detective, as explained.
So the first thing, the first thing they need to get into, and they never got into the Alessi thing today, which I was really looking forward to, like going after the dog guy, the fake dog guy, the YouTube dog guy. The first thing they're going to talk about is getting these videos back, which remember they claim is with some sort of retired detective on an iCloud or some shit like that. But there's no metadata on it. And this is just typical.
Mr. Brennan, we met after court. Mr. Brennan told us that we told Mr. Brennan that we did not need an expert to fly out and go through all the machinations of having someone present. If all the information was downloaded from some iCloud account, unnamed iCloud account, as long as that was videotaped, we were fine with it. And that was basically the agreement. That was the information that we had at the time. We were predicating that on a conversation that we had with Mr. Brennan in January, I think it was January 22nd. He indicated that he went to Canton PD the same date, and the court will recall December 12th was the date of what I've referred to as sort of the wild goose chase that we sent an expert out, et cetera. That same afternoon, apparently Mr. Brennan went to the Canton Police Department and found out that there was, in fact, additional video, which was news to us. He claims that it was news to him. And putting aside how odd that is, after 3 years of being told we have everything, he went on to explain in very specific form in a telephone conversation that he had met with a retired detective at the time. He could not remember the detective's name. He said that the detective believed that he kept a copy of the January 29 video that we were looking for, and that he said that it was on a work computer's iCloud account. Mr. Brennan said that they intended to download it from the iCloud, turn it over, and that's the point at which we said, if you don't mind, just hold on that because we're litigating ultimately this issue, which was the litigation we had on February 6th. So we had the hearing. The day after court on the 6th, after we reached this agreement that the iCloud would just be downloaded and videoed, we received an email from Ms. McLaughlin, and that changed the parameters of what we had believed and what we'd been told by Mr. Brennan, and it sounded more like this. The Commonwealth changed the story from some work computer iCloud account to the footage was being stored on what's called the, quote, department's video file system. It's very different than a retired officer's or a retired detective's work computer's iCloud, which is what Mr. Brennan believed at the time and what we were led to believe at the time. So we asked for clarification. Ms. Little sent an email saying, I'm confused. Now you're talking about something that looks like a much more formal system called the department's CPD video file system. So we want, that's fine, no problem, download the videos, but we want the metadata and the log files that are associated with that. If it's on a formal file system, it's going to have metadata for the upload, for any access to the data, and for the download. We want the metadata and the log files.
It really is like a scavenger hunt. That's a good way to put it, to get the goddamn discovery. It's like, okay, oh, actually, psych, it wasn't really on this guy's iCloud. It's actually in this format over here. And then it's just like everything with these people. There's some long story about why they can't get it. Oh, it's in the mail. Like it's their typical, it's in the mail. Like that's their policy. Oh, yeah, we'll get that to you. Oh, you didn't get it yet? Oh, yeah, no problem. This happens. I've been watching this happen for 2 years now. It never, ever, ever upsets Aunty Bev, ever. But she's so outraged later on. Oh, God forbid. Oh, God forbid.
As well. And that's the key entirely to the audit trail that we're interested in. Historically, we have been asking for videos, for all this video surveillance to be preserved and provided for about 3 years. And this has been one of the centerpieces of this litigation. When we asked for that additional metadata and the log files, Mr. Brennan, in my opinion, took an odd position, which is, nope, we had an agreement. We met right back here in that room. We said that you could videotape the download of the videos. You don't get anything else. If you want anything else, go to court and file a motion, which is why we had to file this motion. We don't think that it was necessary. This is metadata that is literally in the Commonwealth's possession as we speak. They have it. We're entitled to it. It's simple. That's all we're asking for. Mr. Brennan referred to the video files being placed on Canton Police Department detective file, which is yet another name for where this mysterious video may be held. And we said, it's easy to get the metadata. Let's just do a quick forensic image. It'll take less than a day. And all we want is the metadata for the 24-hour period, 23 hours and 59 minutes to be exact. And we don't need to file a motion. The first question I have is, why would the Commonwealth even object to this? It doesn't seem like something that they would want to object to. This is in their possession. They know that they've got it or they've got access to it. Why wouldn't we get it? These videos, again, have been a pain point for this case. These videos have been a pain point for this case for time immemorial since the beginning of the case. We've been demanding that footage from 2022, January 29th, 2022. We were told explicitly on December 12th that no footage existed when we went out and had an expert look at the DVR.
That didn't
Their
bug
analyst
her.
actually called Mr. Brennan when our expert, who was on the floor at Canton PD, asked, are there any original files that are in the possession of Canton PD? The analyst went, I think her name was Colleen Crawford. It was Colleen Crawford. She went and called Mr. Brennan, according to our analyst. Mr. Brennan then informed Ms. Crawford to tell our expert, get it from the defense. If you want original files, get it from the defense, knowing full well that we don't have it. If we had it, we wouldn't be there. And then it was that same day that miraculously the Canton Police Department revealed that, in fact, it did have some video footage on this either iCloud or video system. We take the position very clearly that this is Brady information, it's exculpatory information. The audit trail is also Brady and exculpatory because the audit trail will tell us information that we won't otherwise have from the raw video. How did the footage end up on the system? When did the footage end up on the system? Who put it on the system? How many times has it been accessed? Has it been accessed at all? Has it been altered? Has it been manipulated? Has anything been deleted? Those are all data points that will be embedded in the metadata and the log files. The only way to answer those questions is for us to get it. That's all. And that's all we were asking of Mr. Brennan. We are surprised that he would object to that because we would think that in point of fact, he would want those same data as well. Mr. Brennan made a point of saying, when he first came on this case, look, we want to give Ms. Reed also back.
The reality is that
Yeah, now here's Spanky. Here's Spanky.
NVR, where they full well knew that I had no idea if there was still video on there. And why would they be 3 years later? And after they filed a motion making representations that weren't accurate, and no longer have the confidence to have off-the-record agreements with the defense.
Oh, God.
There has to be a certain level of confidence that when you have an agreement and you try to help the other side, that the memory of the discussion is going to be portrayed accurately.
Oh,
And in
God.
losing confidence.
Oh, Frank, he's
the best
losing
way to practice
confidence.
The discovery is motion.
He's
And yet
losing
they asked me
confidence.
to meet with the defense after court, and I will always honor the court's request. So because of your order, we met with the defense.
Poor Hanky.
As a matter of background, when they came out to look at the DVR, there was no motion. That was by invitation. It wasn't lip service. It wasn't trying to spin a story for the media. It was a good faith effort to accommodate the defense to an entitlement that they weren't actually entitled to. I didn't go on the 12th and speak to the police officers because we were here on Dr. Russell. I went after because I wanted to know more about the cameras. I had never visited the station. I wanted to know about the process.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask firsthand. anybody that was there
Honest
about the
tank.
process because I wanted
Honest
to do
tank.
due diligence.
Yeah.
And when I met with the chief and other officers, I was told by a retired sergeant who was there, DGM Petra,
Yeah.
that he was the officer who would download video upon request. He never downloaded a 24-hour period. He was never asked to. There was never a motion to. When the government would ask, or state police would ask for a download of a particular event, like the
They
South,
told him
he
to
would
preserve
download.
all evidence.
What he told me is that that is on the DVR, an independent unit that has all the metadata and the logs if it still survives time. He said when he would download it, he then had his own hard drive at his office, and it was different files. One was called detective file because he's a detective, and he'd simply click and drag a copy of whatever he filed.
I mean, this is just this is the kid that didn't do his homework, and he's got this elaborate excuse. Oh, it was here and there. It was the log, and then it was, dude. Where's the fucking video, Spanky? Give him the goddamn video. If you have nothing to hide, why? You're saying that's the murder weapon. It's in the garage. Give us a fucking video. Like, what is this whole elaborate story? I don't give a shit about any of this. I don't need to hear any of this. Get us the fucking video. These are just excuses for why you haven't produced the fucking video. Get the video, the real video, not some video of the video, the actual video, so we can see the metadata on it, etc. Get us the fucking video. Go.
Copied for the government or the state police before. It wasn't a full accounting of all the metadata or all the video. It was whatever he decided to copy because he was asked to copy it. And so I thought, well, there's more information that exists. It's not going to be a 24-hour period. It's probably going to be cumulative, but I wouldn't know unless I looked. Now, the standard practice is the Commonwealth would then just ask the detective to download a copy, and we'd meet our Rule 14 obligations by providing it to the defense. It's as simple as that. The defense is entitled to know more. There's nothing mysterious about it. There's no hiding about it. There's no story. It's just video on the detective file on his hard drive. But I called the defense, not only due diligence, professional courtesy, to say, you are already involved in the process with the NVR DVR. I've already invited you to bring an expert. I want to download this information that he copied over time and give you a copy. And they said, we don't know how we feel about that. Can you wait? I did not want to wait. I don't want any video being overwritten or destroyed. It was a judgment
honest
referring
tank.
to the defense request to wait.
Honest tank.
And now it has become part of the spirit of their argument of oppression that somehow there's something odd or miraculously hidden about this. It is simply video that the sergeant clicked and dragged to another file that we can go in, click and drag it to a hard drive, and give them a copy. After you asked us to speak in the back room, the 6 of us were there. We had a conversation. We said we would simply copy the video, and then as another measure, which was unnecessary, we'd actually videotape it. Now, we did that because the defense wanted us to, and also it seems if it's on videotape, it can limit baseless allegations later. So we were happy to do it. And then when we got back to the office, the request changed. Under the spirit of Brady violations and due process, it was suggested that we were supposed to engage now in a different process, and that was metadata. I don't even know if the detective file has metadata. I don't actually know exactly what they're looking for. It's a simple click and drag process. Whatever video exists with the sergeant, we will give them. We're obligated to give.
He's like acting like he doesn't know that metadata is important. Like, bro, welcome to the 21st century of practicing law. Metadata is the information on a photograph or a video that explains when the video was taken, where it was taken, who has looked at that video, how many times that video has been accessed. Like, he's acting like this shit's not important. It's like, no, well, we just do a click and drag, bro. We just clicked and dragged it. It was on the iMachine over there. We just do the click and drag. Like, what's this metadata thing that you're talking about? He's playing stupid. He knows exactly what metadata is. He knows exactly why it's important. He's just playing dumb. He's playing boomer. He's not that dumb. He knows the importance of this shit. And this is the same guy who's going to get up here when he's talking about 227 Google searches and act like he knows what a wall file is, and a cache, as he calls it. Like, during that whole Rich Green thing, this guy thought he was freaking, some sort of tech nerd inventing some social media platform or some shit like that, or coding. And he's like talking to us in all big fancy terms. Now he's like, metadata, what's that? What? We just do the click and drag. We click and drag it. Go.
Give them the only delay has been because
hashtag Hank.
All these different accommodations and different styles of doing it. And so we want to meet our responsibility, download the videos, and simply give them to the defense. There's nothing else about this issue. It's that simple. And technically, we don't have any other obligation other than to download it. It seems as though when I extend courtesies and obligations, it becomes complicated. It's not a complicated process. So we'd like to finish our Rule 14, download the video, give it to the defense, and then they can make any commentary or argument they want about it.
How quickly can you do that?
Oh, there's Runkles on the screen.
Yes, very, very briefly.
Yeah, real brief.
Take your time.
Thank you.
Oh, take your time.
Notwithstanding, what do I say about that?
Oh, that's Paul. Hey, Paul. Hey, Paulie. I noticed you were like, I'm staring at Paul's crotch again today. I had the pleasure of doing that. He kept doing this thing. What was that about, Paul? I was watching you. You kept doing this. What was that? What are you doing there? Are you trying to communicate with me or something? You trying to send me a message? What are you doing? I mean, if you want to talk to me, then just talk to me. You kept going like this, though, didn't you? What was that all about, Paul? We'll talk about that later. Go.
I'm more concerned about his obligations as the representative of the Commonwealth. And he really didn't talk about the metadata in his argument. He didn't talk about the metadata in his written presentation, his opposition.
Peggy gave me the finger?
That's all we're asking. One thing I really agree with him on. This is simple. This shouldn't be a fight.
She
Got
did?
video data.
Oh, that was
metadata associated
last
with that
year.
video data, and there's probably maybe log files. If there are, we're entitled to them, and he should want to give those over to us. He just indicated that this detective file, whatever it is a hard drive. Every electronic storage device has metadata on it. So even if it's a drag and drop, makes it sound super simple, that electronic drag and drop will have metadata associated with it. That hard drive, every time it's accessed and the data on it is accessed, also will have metadata. Euphemistically, it's called electronic fingerprints. Every single, whether it's a thumb drive, a hard drive, or a server, every one of them have metadata on it. So it's not difficult. We're interested in the videos, but we're also interested in the data that is behind the videos as well. And I wouldn't be nearly so concerned. And Mr. Brennan makes this argument, well, the defense is just up here, again, pontificating about how they've been oppressed, I think is his word. Nobody's talking about oppression. We're talking about fairness. We have been told from day one, before the first trial ever started, Your Honor, this court recalls this. We don't have any further video evidence. Whatever videos we have, we've given them over to you. Then on April 4th, in the shadow of the trial starting, we get more video. Where did that come from? Then in the middle of trial, we get more video. Happens to be an inverted video. Where did that come from?
Yeah, where did the inverted video come from?
We get more video. This past October 24th, well after the trial, we get more video of Brian Higgins out at the location of CPD on his phone. Where are these dribs and drabs of video coming from? That's all we're asking.
Yeah.
And Mr. Brennan should want the
October 24th. Did that video come with the metadata?
No, it's just video. It's a video file. And I'll also, that's a great point, Judge.
Notice that like she asked the question, did that video come with metadata? No. Why isn't she like, oh my God, I'm so outraged. I need to cool off. I need a break. I need to everybody recess. And I'm gonna come back. And she doesn't do anything like that because she doesn't care a shit when the Commonwealth doesn't do what they're supposed to do ever. There's literally no consequences whatsoever.
Have a hard drive that's storing video files. My understanding, again, I'm no expert. My understanding is that hard drive will likely have some sort of EXE program, an executable program on it to play the video or to store the video. It'll also have potentially some sort of video player, maybe a proprietary player on it, and then there's going to be the file. So that's what we're asking for. This is metadata associated with all those things. It's not a hard ask, it's not a heavy lift. There's no reason to justify, well, you know what, I'm just going to drag and drop this and you get the video and nothing associated with the video. That's all we're asking.
Any further response, Mr. Brennan?
Your Honor, there's no attempt to deprive the defendant of anything. In fact, historically, if we look back, we invited them to come to the actual hard drive and do it themselves, and they declined. So this isn't an issue where the government is trying to hide something or keep something from them. If it was obvious metadata, we would provide it, but I don't understand this is that type of system. So they're asking for certain things that I don't think we can accommodate. If they want to come, they're invited.
Oh yeah.
Court wants me to inquire. They hired sergeant.
Honest Hank.
Metadata, I'll do that.
Honest Hank.
The issue is going to come. And that when we drag and click these videos.
Yeah, and the ex, you're right. The ex Tara Kerrigan's in the background. She stares at me like what I was across the street standing on the registry of deeds. She's on the corner where she belongs, on the corner, and she's like looking at me, staring at me, to give me the death look, like I'm a bad guy. Like, bitch, you understand how crazy you look in that Boston Magazine thing, holding that picture of John, like the one that got away. Bitch, he dumped you 20 years ago. Why are you here? Like, who is friends with their ex from 20 years ago? Like, what? Give it up, girl. Move on with your life. Like, stop using this man's murder for clout. Open your fucking eyes. Kara Reed didn't do this, stupid. Go ahead.
And if there is no metadata or logs of what they say they're looking for, there's going to be yet another accusation. I do not want to invite this accusation to be beyond our duty. I duty is to provide video. What more can we do than to invite the defense themselves to come into the Canton Police Department and take a look at the system? So if there's something they want, then we'll copy it.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Yannetti, the next one should be fairly quick and simple. The motion for pro hac vice.
Oh, that's what you
I
thought.
asked you before when Mr. Alessi joined us. You have a rather vague, good cause exists to grant this motion because Mr. Bederow, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yes.
Bederow has specialized skill and knowledge in representing defendants in matters of this nature. I asked you last time what you mean by that. I need another affidavit. As soon as I get another affidavit that has a little bit more in it, I'll likely allow the motion.
Allow the motion.
Require further oral argument, or do you anticipate potentially allowing it on the papers?
I would probably allow it on the papers unless I know there's an opposition, but
Thank you.
it's rare. All right, but I need a more detailed affidavit.
Your Honor, may I have just a moment with counsel?
Is this an opposition?
It's not an opposition, but I have some thoughts that I want to share with the court.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. He's got thoughts.
Defendant.
So he's not opposing. He says he's not opposing Mark Bederow being added to the Karen Reed defense team. He just has some thoughts. Okay. So he just got some thoughts. He wants to talk about these thoughts.
Who's presumed innocent has the right to counsel of their choosing. I think it's a very fundamental right. And I don't think the Commonwealth should dabble in taking a position trying to prevent an accused from having counsel of their choice. That being said, as Your Honor may be aware, Mr. Bederow is also an attorney for Mr. Kearney.
What?
And that is something that I think the court should consider.
First of all, I like how he says Mr. Kearney. First of all, it's Mr. Kearney. Dr. That I should ask them, but please refer to me as Dr. Dr. Kearney. Can you at least pronounce it right? And I like how he's just no introductions required. Like just Mr. Kearney is like sufficient somehow. Like how about like Mr. Bederow represents a man by the name of Aidan Kearney, who, as you may know, is kind of a big deal. Like he's kind of the reason this whole thing happened with the crowds outside, and you know everybody knows you're Aunty Bev now because of him, and you know that guy. He just acts like Mr. Kearney, like he just mentions me and doesn't do any explaining. I guess that means I made it in life, but it's just awkward because I'm standing 5 feet away from him and he's talking shit about me right in front of my face. Like, it was very rude and uncomfortable. I think I tweeted out, this is awkward right now because he's like saying what a bad person I am. Go.
Be thoughtful about for a couple of reasons. There is a history.
Call me daddy. Yeah. What?
Mr. Reed and Mr. Kearney.
Symbiotic.
There's a history of documented evidence showing the sharing of discovery between the parties.
Showing a history of documented evidence showing the discovery between parties. Like what? Like you're allowed to share discovery if it's public. Who cares? There's nothing wrong with sharing discovery. Like, what discovery did she share? The autopsy photos, which were already on the public court filings. Oh, he got them in color though. Oh, wow. Oh no. It stopped the fight. Huge deal. All right, go ahead.
Inevitably, that discovery is promoted in such a way that abuses, harasses, and bullies witnesses in this case.
Oh, okay. So the discovery. Let's listen to what he says here about the discovery.
Granted evidence showing the sharing of discovery between the parties. And inevitably, that discovery is promoted in such a way that abuses, harasses, and bullies witnesses in this case.
The discovery is promoted in a way that bullies, harasses, and whatever witnesses in this case. Poor Jennifer McCabe. It all comes back to her, right? How can discovery bully you? How can you be? That's what he says. They're being bullied by the discovery, Your Honor.
Evidence showing the sharing of discovery between the parties. And inevitably, that discovery is promoted in such a way that abuses, harasses, and bullies witnesses in this case.
Oh, okay. So he's saying that Jennifer McCabe wasn't bullied by me. She was bullied by the discovery itself. The evidence, Jennifer McCabe was bullied by the evidence itself. The 227 Google search being put into discovery bullied her. Like the fucking fake victimhood in this county is insane. Like you're being bullied by the evidence showing that you helped cover up a murder. That's what he's saying. So Karen Reed showed me discovery, which was not under any sort of protective order, nothing. And that discovery showed me that, oh shit, she didn't do this and these people did. And then I wrote about that And now Jennifer McCabe is being bullied by the discovery. This is fucking insane. This is like, and I've been indicted over this. Like, on September 25th, 2023, I published a picture of Jennifer McCabe at Michael Proctor's house. Her car at Michael Proctor's house. A month after the DA said that they didn't know each other. There's no personal relationship between them. Oh shit. That car that looks like Jennifer McCabe's car is there. Better double check that license plate, make sure it's hers. Yeah, okay, cool. We had somebody run the plate for us. That's her. Big story, right? Oh, no, your story, your evidence of the DA lying and corruption in this case and a personal relationship between the witness and the lead investigator, that discovery is in and of itself bullying. I mean, I can't believe this shit. I can't believe this is real, that he says with a straight face. He's being bullied by the discovery. You give me a freaking break. Go on, Spanky.
Not unmindful that there's over a dozen indictments against Mr. Kearney
Oh.
that Bedrow's representing him for.
Oh, God forbid.
It's not great clarity.
Look
but
at
it's been represented.
So we're staring at it. We're having a stare down here. Okay. There's me and Runkle staring at Spanky. And he's talking, oh, he's indicted. I haven't been convicted of shit, and I never will be. We also filed a bomb motion to dismiss, young man, and you didn't mention that. So please do next time.
That there is a relationship between Mr. Bederow, Mr. Bredel, who's Mr. Kearney's other attorney,
Bredel?
and defense attorneys in this case.
What?
There's a record that has been represented that the attorneys in Mr. Kearney's case, Mr. Bederow, Mr. Bredel, have an understanding with the defense attorneys in this case.
What?
That there's an ongoing, long-term, implicit mutual assistance and mutual defense that they've been a part of for a long time. Now, the Commonwealth is not entitled.
Okay, stop right there. Serious accusation, Spanky. So now I know that Spanky watches my shit too. He watches my trials. So we're going to jump over here to Young Jerks real quick. Okay. And watch what he's talking about here. Let's jump on over. Where'd it go? To the December 17th hearing.
Mr. Mello, whether he wants to get another date or whether he wants to use.
All right, so let's fast forward this. Let's get this playback speed. Okay. All right, so here's my court case in the same courtroom on December 17th. Listen to what Bredel says here about our relationship with the Karen Reed team.
We object to. The second issue that we want to deal with is that the government is specifically excluding from potential search terms the any communications relative to the attorneys in the Karen Reed case. And we would object to that, Judge. Because there's an attorney-client privilege between the attorneys and Mr. Kearney? Well, there's a joint defense issue, Your Honor, that they're both, so it would predate any jeopardy to Mr. Kearney. So communications with them predating any jeopardy to Mr. Kearney would not be covered by joint defense. It would only be after Mr. Kearney was charged that there would possibly be a joint defense. Well,
all right, so background on this. We're talking about my phone and what the taint team can look at in my phone. Okay. So our position is we don't want them looking at anything in the phone because that's what you're going to argue. It's like, it's my fucking phone. It's private. That we have a ton of sources in there for stories. And, you know, amongst them possibly are Alan Jackson and David Yannetti. Like it's like their sources first. You know what I mean? It's like, so as my attorney, of course, like it's their job to, or his job to, he's not just going to take everything lying down. He's got to fight it. Right. So that's what we're doing here. Okay. And he mentioned something about like, let me just replay that so you hear the exact verbiage.
right. The pre-communications relative deal with is that the government is specifically excluding from potential search terms the any communications relative to the attorneys in the Karen Reed case. And we would object to that, Judge. Because there's an attorney-client privilege between the attorneys and Mr. Kearney? Well, there's a joint defense issue, Your Honor, that they're both, so it would predate any jeopardy to Mr. Kearney. So communications with them predating any jeopardy to Mr. Kearney would not be covered by joint defense. It would only be after Mr. Kearney was charged that there would possibly be a joint defense. Well, okay.
So like if what he's saying here is there couldn't be a joint, the Judge Krupp is kind of making our point for us, Judge Krupp. saying that there is a joint defense. There could not be a joint defense before I was arrested because I had never been arrested. So any communications with the defense with David Yannetti or Alan Jackson before October 11th, 2023 can't be privileged. Like the government has a right to read those messages because there was no joint defense because I hadn't been arrested yet. See what I'm saying? So Judge Crap is making our point for us here by saying, no, there is no joint defense. And even if there was, I'm pretty sure he could still represent both of us, but there's not. I'm rooting for her, and I'm sure she's rooting for me. I mean, these things are not. And I think that, my chances of acquittal are very high no matter what, but they're higher, obviously, if Karen Reed is acquitted, I would think. At least it can't hurt me. But, and I would say that, generally our interests are aligned, generally, but they're not completely. Like, some of them are independent of each other. Like there is a world in which one of us is convicted and the other one isn't. You know what I mean? But it's a very fucking small world, a crazy world, but neither of us is getting convicted. So it doesn't really fucking matter. But Spanky is making it sound like Bredel said something at this hearing that he didn't say. He goes on to say this.
It's a little more complicated because we know that he was under investigation along with Ms. Reed without any resultant charges. So we would contend that it does fall under the umbrella.
Hang on one second. Okay, but
we would just contend, Judge, that the Karen Reed issue is a live question, whether or not there's a joint defense umbrella on that.
Do you have a joint defense agreement?
We don't have an agreement, but there's an implicit. There's been an ongoing, long-term, implicit mutual assistance and mutual defense that I myself have been a part of for a long time. Attorney Bederow has as well, and it's an issue that is not able to be worked out.
I really have no idea what that is. That means, are you asking me to make any particular? Let me ask you. On the first issue, are you asking me to make any changes whatsoever to the proposed protocol? I'm looking at the motion, which is docket number 53, indented paragraphs numbered 1 through 10 on pages 4 to 8 of that document.
Judge, what I would ask, Your Honor, is that you give us a little more time.
No, today is the day.
Yeah.
Today we're doing the.
So basically, we get rejected here. Okay. So when Bredel throws out that there might be some sort of mutual defense there, implicit, whatever, the judge completely rejects that. So there is no mutual defense. Like, it's Judge Crap has completely thrown that out. Like, no, there is no mutual defense. They're not his attorneys. Nothing in his communications with Yannetti or Jackson is privileged at all. So the government can read any of those messages they want to. And honestly, I don't really give a shit because there's nothing in there to hide. So, yeah, there's that. So back to this. So this again, listen to what how Spanky represents this.
20 products Kearney's other Mr. Bederow is representing him for. Now, it's not great clarity, but it's been represented.
It's been represented
that there is a relationship.
That there is a relationship.
Mr. Bederow, Mr. Bredel, who's Mr. Kearney's other attorney, and the defense attorneys in this case. There is a record that has been represented.
A record
that the attorneys in Mr. Kearney's case, Mr. Bederow, Mr. Bredel, have an understanding with the defense attorneys in this case. That there's an ongoing, long-term, implicit mutual assistance and mutual defense been a part of for a long time.
He watched.
The Commonwealth is not entitled to any product of a mutual defense, but it is curious in that Ms. Reed and Mr. Kearney are not co-defendants. It is curious that given the indictments, most of them that deal with witnesses in this case that allegedly have been harassed and intimidated.
All of them, actually.
It is curious that relationship exists and the nature of that relationship. It's not something that I think I'm entitled to, but the court certainly could delve into that ex parte.
What?
Important, because we'll later talk about in a sanctions motion, a
sanctions motion,
direct violation of protective orders in this case. In the discovery in this case was provided to special attorney in Mr. Kearney's case to make sure that there was a thorough review of all discovery, and much of that was turned over subject to a protective order. And I expect there'll be a similar motion in Mr. Kearney's case. Within 24 hours of the violation in this case, there was a violation of different material in that case.
What?
And so inevitably, you have
who?
Bederow will be serving.
Wait, time out. Who is this guy to decide that we've had a protective order violation in our case? This was news to me. The first time I'm hearing this. So we were handed over on December 17th a whole bunch because of the Morrissey thing, because of the Morrissey emails, him using a burner email account, they're like, oh yeah, actually here's a whole bunch of communications. And they gave us all these text communications. And they're under protective order because everything is under protective order in Massachusetts. Like anytime the prosecution doesn't want something embarrassing getting out that makes them look bad, they just put it under a protective order. That's not what protective orders are supposed to be for. It's supposed to be for sensitive information, phone numbers, stuff with kids, medical records, stuff like that. But there's no, I've not seen anything like that. You can also just redact the people's phone numbers if you want to, before you put it in a public court document. And so whatever, it's under a protective order. We're going to you got to follow the orders. It is what it is. So in the Karen Reed case, they got the same messages as us. In the motion that was filed by, I think, one, a text message from Michael Proctor in which he calls Alan Jackson an asshole. And he says that I didn't watch assholes closing argument. We're all on pins and needles over here waiting for the verdict, whatever. Okay. Now, when I saw that, I'm like, I guess you can put that in a motion. And we were writing up our motion to dismiss that week. And we were talking about what we could and couldn't put in a motion because stuff is under a protective order. And, that, we're like, we had that, we had that text too. And we're like, well, we can't put that in the protective order because we can't put that in the motion to dismiss because it's protected. For some reason, why can't the public know about that? Why should that statement be under a protective order? Why can't the public know that according to this motion filed by David Yannetti, is out there now, that, or the defense, I apologize if it's not him. Okay. Why should the public not know that Michael Proctor, the most controversial, infamous douchebag detective ever, the most the face of corruption and misogyny and everything else, why should they not know that 3 weeks after being embarrassed on national television, after all of his texts were read that he called immature and unprofessional, he was once again using his cell phone to text the ADA Adam Lally immature and unprofessional things by calling Alan Jackson an asshole and suggesting that he watched the rest of the trial in violation of the sequestration order because he wasn't supposed to be watching any of it. That's the whole point of why they included that in their motion. That message suggested that the dude was watching other portions of the trial. So they did not redact that in theirs. So in our motion to dismiss, we included a couple messages that were, given to us in this discovery drop, which is under a protective order. So we've seen it, but we can't share it. So if we want to put it in our motion to dismiss, and the motion to dismiss is public, we have to redact certain information. And we did that. You'll see there's a whole bunch of redactions in there. Now, listen to what he's just said here. Listen to what he said. This is news to me.
Certainly could delve into that ex parte. It's important. Special attorney in Mr. Kearney's case to make sure that there was a thorough review of direct violation of protective orders in this case. In the discovery in this case was provided to special attorney in Mr. Kearney's case to make sure that there was a thorough review of all discovery, and much of that was turned over subject to a protective order. And I expect there'll be a similar motion in Mr. Kearney's case. Within 24 hours of the violation in this case, there was a violation of different material in that case. And so inevitably you have
within 24 hours, there's a violation of the protective order. We didn't violate shit, Spanky. And who are you to say that we did? Who is this guy to say? Why are you up in my case? Stay out of my case. Go do your own case. Get out of here. You talking to Kazi? Kazi Kaz? The Kaz master? Go away. Do your own. Leave my case alone. It's a separate thing.
Attorney Bederow will be serving two masters. He will receive protected information in this case that is supposed to
his masters
and not leaked and distributed to the media.
I'm Bederow's master.
And some of that information will not be information that Mr. Kearney is entitled to. And being in a position of representing two different defendants who are not co-defendants,
No, we're not.
being in that position is going to be a difficult task to manage. And I am worried, and I have good reason to be worried about the privacy of our protected material. I have good reason to be concerned about the improper dissemination of our material. I have a reason to be concerned about the continued harassment and bullying of witnesses.
Oh, God.
This information, if a court
No,
order will protect
the
it,
witnesses.
then nothing will. Then nothing will. And so we know this relationship is substantive. We know it is a deep relationship.
A deep
The attorneys,
relationship.
in fact, in this case, have direct communications are had with Mr. Kearney, over 29 calls each.
Oh, no.
And so, not to
The fact that they know this is so Orwellian, like how many phone calls he's had with them, that nobody has a problem with this. Like, oh, he's going to take his phone and see how many, who's he been talking to? Who's this journalist been speaking to? He's been speaking to the attorney. It's just fucking insane that we're living in a world where that's okay. And nobody has a problem with that. It's just whatever. Just take a journalist's phone and just see how many times he's been talking to the defendant. Like, why do you get to know that? I mean, I don't get to take your phone and see how many times you've been talking to these fucking people or who you know. I mean, it's just insane. Absolutely insane that this is permissible in a society like this. But
speculate. But having a mutual agreement, a mutual aid agreement, does not allow an attorney then to become one of the attorneys who is entitled to protection under a protective order in a particular case. It doesn't. And that concerns the government. And so while I do not object to Attorney Bederow, they should have as many lawyers as they want. I think the court should have some caution and some concern and should consider some type of inquiry ex parte without the Commonwealth present about the nature of this joint aid agreement and the history of it and whether protected information was ever shared prior to Mr. Bederow presumably joining this case, and whether there's protocol in place that if there is protected information in this case, that it does not leak again. It does not get shared with a non-co-defendant. I don't even know how to describe the relationship. I'm asking the court to consider assuring itself of those safety measures because this trial is going to happen. And these witnesses should be able to walk into this courtroom without fear, without bullying, without abuse. And that has not happened.
that has not happened. They should be able to walk in here without fear, abuse. Not a single one of these people is in physical fear. None of them. It's just such a goddamn lie. None of them are in fear. They all come in with state police entourages. You can't say a goddamn word to them because of a fucking buffer zone outside, right? Nobody's in fear. This is a lie. Jennifer McCabe sent me half-naked pictures of John Como on July 1st and then told me that she knew where I was going to be that weekend. Okay. Chris Albert told me on June 23rd, 2024, that he would was going to bash my head against the up and down the pavement or something like that. Colin Albert called me a pussy. Right. Jim Farris assaulted me. Jill Daniels assaulted me. Family members and employees of the Albert family, with Chris's permission and blessing, assaulted me. And this guy has the audacity to say that these people are coming in fear. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Fuck you and your bullshit Spanky. Wait till you see this C.F. McCarthy's video. Oh my fucking God, this piece of shit. He's such a maggot. He's such a maggot. And I know you watch this show, Spanky. I know you watch it because you're watching the hearings with Cosgrove, which are the most boring shit ever. If you're watching that, you're definitely watching this. Spanky, I don't know why you got to do this. I don't know why you should have just been like a lolly. You wanted to be the hero. You wanted to be the cowboy. It's not going to end well for you, sir. Okay. And that's not a threat or anything like that. That's just me telling you that you didn't have to jump this balls deep into it. You could have just done your job, collected your money, and gone about your business, and that's it. But no, you had to be the maverick. You had to come in here and be like, "Ooh, I'm going to stop Bederow from being on here. I'm going to be the hero for the witnesses." Shut up. None of these people are contemptible. All of them. They're disgusting. They're horrible people. You're burning in hell. You're going to burn in hell for supporting these maggots. Every single one of them is a goddamn disgusting maggot, fake victim piece of shit. All of them. All of them. Go ahead.
Many reasons it has not happened. And this makes it a more complicated issue. The defendant is entitled to a fair trial, which means she's entitled to another attorney. So I don't object.
Okay, good.
The Commonwealth is entitled to a fair trial, and the witnesses are entitled to walk in this courtroom.
So what do you want?
Without being abused. Thank you.
So what do you want? So he's not opposing it.
Mr. Yannetti, I have to consider everything that was just said, but I'll wait for your affidavit.
Right, we'll try to address those issues in the affidavit, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. All right, the next one I believe is paper 489, Commonwealth's motion to amend the December 5th order pertaining to audio recordings in possession of Gretchen Voss and or Metro Court.
Oh God.
Relatively
Emily D. Baker made a.
Your Honor, you provided us the full audio between
Okay.
the defendant attorneys and Ms. Voss. I'd like to have it transcribed because I expect to use many parts of it for trial. The order was all the attorneys could listen to it. I can report none of the attorneys have listened to it other than me.
All right.
Make a copy.
All right. We're gonna skip that one.
490, Defendants Rule 14 and 17, motion for court order authorizing defense access to the Lexus in Traverse and to the driveway at 1 Meadows Avenue in Canton to conduct an independent testing and analysis. I did receive this morning an affidavit from attorney Mark Diller on behalf of the O'Keefe family in
Where have
response
you-
to Defendants
I
Rule
know.
14.
We have
and
a right
17,
to a
motion
fair
for court order
trial.
authorizing defense access to the Lexus in Traverse and to the driveway.
can't
at 1
believe they
Meadows
said
Avenue in
that.
Canton to conduct independent testing and analysis. I assume counsel has seen this affidavit of Mr. Diller.
Yes, Your Honor. In the interest of saving time, I would alert the court that Mr. Brennan and I have conferred prior to today, and today he handed me a drive that appears to have the 3D scans that we were seeking.
Okay.
So that may well satisfy us, and I would ask that the court take no action on this motion until we've had a chance to view them, and we may not need to have action on this motion.
Okay. I do just want to say it's clear from this affidavit that there's a spirit of cooperation, even though unnecessary, frankly, on behalf of the O'Keefe family. So I would not do anything really other than what their lawyer has suggested. Okay.
So they want to
All right,
test.
So no action taken.
Is he doing it? Did he do the thing?
So the next is paper 493, defendant's motion to reconsider reciprocal discovery order, and paper 503, the Commonwealth's opposition. So who is arguing this motion for the defendant?
I will be, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Would you like me to address both issues first, or?
Both issues.
So, Your Honor, taking first the motion to reconsider the reciprocal discovery order, I start by acknowledging that the court has wide discretion in this area with regard to discovery orders and reciprocal discovery orders. I'm also aware of the court's ruling in the first trial, whereby we were ordered essentially to turn over any evidence that we were going to use when impeaching Commonwealth's witnesses, and that's what we're asking the court to reconsider. It is our position, Judge, that part of, and I believe I quoted a case on the last page of the motion, the effectiveness of page 12, Judge, of my motion. The effectiveness of cross-examination often depends on being able to surprise a witness, particularly an accusing witness, with evidence that contradicts or is inconsistent.
All right. So again, this motion is about two things, right? They want to be able to impeach them in gotcha moments, right? Because these people lie, and if they have evidence that these people are lying, they don't want to have to show their hand because it just gives them a chance to change their story. They provided two examples. The first example was that Jennifer McCabe, they found out by analyzing Jennifer McCabe's cell phone data that she was at Michael Lank's house on January 30th, something she never testified to before, ever. And they were hoping to confront her on the stand with this information that, hey, you were at Michael Lank's house. What were you doing there? And that she would be like, oh, fuck, how'd they find that out? And make some shit up and catch her in a lie because she was at Michael Lank's house. Because of the reciprocal discovery order from the judge, they had to make the Commonwealth aware that they found this out. And then the Commonwealth went and ran to Jennifer McCabe, and it's like, let's get our story straight. And Jennifer McCabe came up with this story about how Kerry Roberts drove her over there, and she just had to use the bathroom inside. And it's like, oh, right, sure thing. She's just had an explanation. And then they got one of the kids. I'm not saying the kid lied. They got one of the kids to lie, the son, the boy. And they got him to say that Karen was mean and made him eat steak tips. And we didn't want to eat them, and he was making him do it, and she was being mean to him, and blah, 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 this vicious person. And, well, it turns out Kearney's got a video of the kid eating steak tips, and she's being all friendly to him and nice. And they had to give the government that video and said, we're going to use this in court to show that this kid has been put up to this and told to lie. And we are going to impeach him based on that. And so then when the kid testified, he's like, oh, yeah, it was takeout, not steak tips. So they just got him to lie and change his story. And so the purpose of this motion is to make it so that they no longer have to show their hand ahead of time, because every time they show their hand and they plan on impeaching one of these witnesses, they just change their story because that's what they do.
With his trial testimony. And with regard to at least two witnesses, the examples that we outlined in the motion, we were deprived of that very legitimate exercise of confronting a witness and surprising them with an inconsistency in their testimony. With regard to Ms. McCabe, it was never mentioned anywhere that she spent an hour at the personal home of Mr. Lank.
Never.
From the Canton Police Department. That only came up after we were ordered and did produce, pursuant to the court's order, the geofence data, which revealed that meeting did take place. And so, the Commonwealth, armed with that information, went and talked to her about it, obviously, because she was very well prepared on cross-examination to address that issue and came up with a very detailed explanation that appeared to diffuse the fact that she hadn't mentioned it before. She was very well prepared for that.
Right.
And secondly, with regard to the juvenile witness, as the court remembers, I'm sure from the first trial, we had that video of the steak tips incident, and it clearly did not show the type of animosity that had been.
And I showed the steak tips video on my the other day. I didn't show the video, but I played the audio, and it's just as effective. So again, I got this from Natalie the German back in the day. So this is not, oh, don't worry, Spanky. Karen Reed's not giving this to me. Natalie, your girl, Natalie the German, gave this one to me. So I'm just going to play the audio from this. So you guys can, if you haven't heard this already, I'm just going to play the audio. Give me 1 second to audio. All right. Let me know if you guys can hear this. So again, they're claiming at this incident that this kid is like being force-fed steak tips, are being forced like by the dastardly Karen Reed, and she's like being mean to him and calling him spoiled and this and that. And this is the 17-second video. Go.
Put it in your mouth. I'm taking a video.
Oh, we're taking a picture.
You're gonna eat that whole plate, right?
Probably.
Definitely.
Definitely.
That's it. That's the video. And so the government lied again, because the kid didn't lie. The kid didn't come up with that video on his own. The kid was made to lie. They got the kid to lie. And Aunty Bev's not upset about that for some reason. That does not bug Aunty Bev in the least bit. But today she lost her fucking mind because of what she claims are misrepresentations from Alan Jackson. Okay. All right, back to this.
Originally prepared, and so when it came time for trial testimony, it turned into something different. It turned into, well, that was a takeout incident, which we question what was done behind the scenes to arrive at that conclusion as well. And I also include in the motion, and just to be clear, Judge, this is something I will start with in addressing the motion for sanctions. This is my motion. I drafted it. None of my co-counsel saw this motion before it was filed, so I take responsibility for everything that's in there. But we also make the point that with regard to Trooper Proctor, it appears as though there was he was monitoring the trial. At least that's the inference that we draw, because he specifically says the one part that he didn't want to watch was Mr. Jackson's closing argument, and he obviously uses derogatory language toward him as well. If we turn over this information in advance, not only does the Commonwealth get a chance to blunt this information by having the witness be given an opportunity to mold their testimony to take into account the impeachment information, but this is I won't say unique trial, but it's a rare trial that is streamed online. There's obviously a lot of press interest. Some people are watching everything that goes on. The court has issued sequestration orders. We don't know for sure whether they've been complied with. And to the extent that we turn over this impeachment material and the Commonwealth uses it, it's another opportunity for a witness to see potentially in advance something that could otherwise be damaging on cross-examination. So switching to the Commonwealth's motion for sanctions. Understood.
All right. So, Mr. Brennan?
Trial by ambush is simply that, trial by ambush.
Oh, yeah.
There were many instances when I reviewed
Here we
this
go.
trial where the defense came up the sidebar, they had pictures, photos, things they didn't turn over that they expected to use for impeachment. And the rule requires them to do that. The reporter's note to Rule 14 talks about reciprocal discovery. Quote, even-handed discovery to both sides.
So some of the things, some of the trial by ambush, they wanted to confront Katie McLaughlin with pictures on Facebook of her with Caitlin Albert partying, like very recent pictures, in order to prove that she's actually friends with Caitlin Albert. They were going to impeach her credibility like that, but they weren't allowed to because it wasn't reciprocal discovery. You can't ambush them with that. And so that's what he's talking about there.
Sides will improve both the administration and the delivery of justice. A witness has a right to look at information before their testimony. Just like the Commonwealth provides all evidence to the defense should do the same. Now, it's notable in the rules, although they're changing March 1st. We look at Rule 14A1A. That has a limitation in discovery for the Commonwealth under the person's direction and control. The reason for that is because the Commonwealth, unlike the defense, must provide all discovery in their possession and control. So, for example, if the Commonwealth is going to call an expert, they have to provide everything. Although the rules are a little bit more limited, it is the best practice to provide everything. If the Commonwealth is not going to call a witness, they still have obligations. And that is why that language is in Rule 14A1A. If the Commonwealth seeks consult with somebody, they're not going to call, they need to produce it to the defense. For example, I get random emails from unknown people, anonymous, or sometimes their names on them.
What?
Talking about theories of the case. I give it to the defense. Because in my possession, custody, control, I have...
You might have seen some of the stuff in Discovery. So this is real. Trolls, random trolls apparently, send him their theories, like people who don't like Karen Reed, and like Karen Reed's conspiring with Turtle Boy and they're evil. And he sends these emails to Spanky, and then Spanky puts them into Discovery just so that the defense will have to read them. Like, this is his strategy. Again, it's one of his three-pronged strategy here for getting Karen Reed.
No intention of calling an anonymous person, but because I have the information, because I am the Commonwealth, they're entitled to it. If we look under 14B, it's different for the defense. If they are going to call a witness, they have an obligation to produce evidence. If they have evidence they're going to use at trial, they have an obligation to provide it. And so allowing the defense to simply hide information because they think it's impeachment at trial is uneven-handed. It's not fair play. It's not in the interest of justice. There is no caveat or exception for the defense that they're entitled, in state court anyways. Federal rules are very different. In state court, for them to withhold reciprocal discovery. The order of the court at the first trial, even though it wasn't followed religiously, was that reciprocal discovery was an obligation of both sides. And that should not change. It's going to create chaos. It's going to create delay in the case, and it's going to create an unfairness. It will be trial by ambush. It will be. And so since there is no caveat or exception for the defense, and since there's no entitlement to withhold impeachment material, we should not make an exception for this team. They should provide it like everybody else. So I'm asking you to maintain the reciprocal discovery order that is already in place, and then hopefully...
Why are they showing Karen Reed?
Okay. Was there any follow-up to that? The motion for sanctions will be a little bit later.
Right. The only thing I would point out, Your Honor, is that with regard to the report of Jennifer McCabe, I should say, revealing this length meeting, that report wasn't provided to us until after she testified. And I think this court remembers from the trial that there was sort of a rolling discovery that we received even as the trial was going on. So I just wanted to make that point.
Okay.
Your Honor, I've tried my best, and I will continue to provide.
No, he's tried his best.
Thank you.
Honest tank. Honest tank.
And I never want that to happen. Sometimes exceptions happen on both sides, but that's not the intent of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is doing everything.
Yeah,
There was a response from the Commonwealth.
Discovery that's still outstanding.
This was great today. She was awesome. So she's going to talk about the Sandra Birchmore connection here, which is, I'm so happy this got brought up into it. I don't know if any of this is going to be allowed in trial ultimately, but it's so relevant, especially with Garino. Like, dude, so you routinely just can't find shit, huh? Like 32,000 messages. You couldn't figure out how to get those. That's kind of your thing, huh, Garino? Is you're the tech guy who doesn't really know much about tech, it seems. And as a result, murders don't get solved. Actually, you insist that somebody killed a person who didn't actually kill a person. Like you insisted that Sandra Birchmore killed herself. Turns out she didn't.
Items, I'll address those in turn. The first request deals with...
So you have the Commonwealth's response, right?
Yes.
It doesn't object to some. Are you going to skip over those? Or
Yes, of course, Your Honor. For those, I'll just ask that the court allow those requests. For request 1, Your Honor, we've asked for all chain of custody logs, reports, evidence logs, and other documentation regarding how the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and the Massachusetts State Police came into possession of each distinct production of Canton Police Department video surveillance footage from January 29th. As the court has heard many times, we have received 3 separate productions. One before trial, which was missing the precise time Ms. Reed's Lexus was brought into the Canton Sallyport garage. Another production in the middle of trial, which included an inverted video showing
Yeah.
only the left.
Look at
portion of
Bill
the
Reed.
taillight
Look at Bill
on
Reed.
the condition of the right rear taillight in the Sally Port.
Yeah, look at him. Look at him.
Then we have a third production, which was not turned over until after trial in this matter. In that production, we have video surveillance footage from outside the Canton Police Department, where it shows Brian Higgins on his cell phone talking to someone at 1:30 a.m. outside of the Canton Police Department. The only report or documentation associated with any of those three productions is a singular report from July of 2024 that details an IT person, Colleen Crawford's, review of video surveillance footage and summarizing information about what she looked at. We have no chain of custody logs, no evidence logs, no reports regarding the download of that information. We don't know who the custodian of records is with regards to those reproductions, or how this information magically appeared in the Massachusetts State Police and Norfolk County DA's possession. We are entitled to that. We're simply asking for what we have in all the other video surveillance footage, evidence logs, a copy of when that was booked into evidence. The Commonwealth cannot skirt their discovery obligations by simply failing to memorialize evidence that doesn't help them.
So does the Commonwealth have an obligation to create a document if that's not already in existence?
That information is in their possession. It's Brady, right? We have Canton police officers who handled this footage. We have Massachusetts State police officers who handled this footage. They know that they downloaded the information. You cannot skirt your Brady obligations by failing to memorialize things in reports.
Yeah.
We are asking for basic reports from the witnesses who recovered this evidence. They can't avoid cross-examination on evidence that they're admitting at trial.
None of this.
By failing to
I know.
disclose who obtained it and when.
It's just like
And I
none
can
of
understand
this.
why they might
None
not
of
want
it.
to do that. There's an ongoing federal investigation. No one seems to want to take ownership of these videos.
Oh, there's an ongoing federal investigation. No one wants to take ownership of these videos because they nobody's taking responsibility for who hid this, who's the one that inverted this, who did this, and they're all hiding the ball because they know that there is an ongoing federal investigation. And let me be very clear about that. It is confirmed, undeniable. Since the new administration has come in, the federal investigation is ongoing. It is not stopped. If you think you're going to get away with this, you might, but they haven't given up yet. Just know that. And they're not going to overlook this, dude. They know. They hired independent experts who told them that John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car. They know. They know what you guys did, man. They know that you murdered a cop and then you helped cover it up. This could be the biggest case ever. It's going to be huge. It's not just going to happen this easily. Like the Sandra Birchmore one took a long time to get out. And that was a simple open and shut. Dude walks into an apartment and kills a woman and then walks out. And then he's just never arrested, even though he's right there. He's like the main suspect. He's right there. They just blame it on the girl, pin it on the girl, you know? So yeah. So back to this. Ongoing.
But that does not absolve them of their Rule 14 obligations. We still don't know who the custodian of records is. The Commonwealth cannot skirt its mandatory discovery obligations by refusing to memorialize this material and relevant evidence in a report simply because they don't want the individuals involved to be questioned about it. The Commonwealth is intentionally subverting its obligations under Rule 14. We're asking that this request be allowed.
All right.
The second category of information, Your Honor, is information that relates to the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office investigation clearing Officer Matthew Farwell of the murder of Sandra Birchmore. There are certain names that this court will recognize.
Here we go.
First responding officer, Sergeant Link.
1.
Detective, Kevin Albert.
2.
Trooper, Mike Dunn.
3.
Trooper, Zach Clark.
4.
Colleen Crawford.
5.
Lieutenant John Fanning.
6.
Trooper, Guarino.
7.
Lieutenant Brian Tully.
8.
Trooper, Kathleen Prince.
9.
And Norfolk County District Attorney, Michael Morrissey.
10.
All of these individuals are material and relevant witnesses.
I think it's Matthew Dunn, but we won't split hairs. All of them were what, Miss Little? What were they all?
In this case, they are
Okay.
also material and relevant witnesses in the investigation that cleared sworn peace officer Matthew Farwell
Oh.
in the murder of Sandra Birchmore.
That cleared sworn police officer. Should call him a peace officer. Matthew, is that another word for police? I don't even know. They cleared Matthew Farwell. Those 10 people were part of an investigation that said Matthew Farwell, not a suspect. He's cleared. All of them were involved in that investigation. The Canton police were the first ones there, and then the state police took over. It's the same situation. It happened in Canton, right in the Canton-Stoughton line, but still Canton. It involved a Stoughton cop, but still happened in Canton. Okay. And Sandra Birchmore was, they came across the body. Lanker was in there and Kevin Albert, and they immediately like, yeah, this is a suicide. Cause, oh yeah, see how she's got the belt around her neck. She killed herself. They didn't investigate. Could this have been staged? That is not something that they even remotely considered. Okay. They didn't even remotely consider it. They looked the other way, if you will. And now the same people that immediately cleared Matthew Farwell also immediately cleared Brian Albert. They actually cleared him faster. He didn't even get cleared. He didn't need to be cleared for some reason. None of these people who invited John over the house and whose property John was found dead on needed to be cleared for some strange reason. Okay.
The parallels in these two cases could not be clearer. It's the same material witnesses, same investigators, same prosecutors, same failure to investigate a law enforcement officer who should have been a suspect.
Yeah, should have been.
Specifically, in terms of our requests, we've requested an unredacted copy of MSP report number 26. There are certain reports in this case, Your Honor, that deal with material witnesses that are so heavily redacted that we can't make sense of what is even in them. It deals with an interview conducted by two material witnesses in our case, Lieutenant Fanning and Trooper Kathleen Prince, and we're simply asking for an unredacted copy of that report. As to request 3, we're asking for an unredacted copy of public record responses regarding email correspondence and communications associated with the Sandra Birchmore investigation. The communications we've received in our case have been revelatory, material, and exculpatory. Given the consistency and parallel type of investigation, the communications between and among law enforcement officers...
Wait, did Paul rub his chin there? Hold on.
As to request 3, we're asking for an unredacted copy of public record responses regarding email correspondence and communications associated with the Sandra
I didn't
Birchmore
see it there.
investigation. The communications we've received in our case have been revelatory, material, and exculpatory. Given the consistency and parallel type of investigation, the communications between and among law enforcement officers and the Norfolk County DA's office with witnesses who are material to our case are relevant and should be turned over in discovery. Finally, we've also asked for an unredacted copy of all reports, communications, and handwritten notes and other documents from the Sandra Birchmore investigation concerning material law enforcement witnesses in our case. Your Honor, the reports by investigating officers that led to the improper clearing of Peace Officer Matthew Farwell in the Birchmore case go directly to the credibility of those law enforcement officers and their reports. The reports that they drafted in reaching certain conclusions, clearing Officer Farwell, directly go to their credibility. In our case,
Yes,
which again,
credibility.
deals with the clearing of
They
a
have
fellow
no
officer.
credibility.
And I'd cite one example, Your Honor. For example, Massachusetts State Police Trooper Garino,
Okay.
the same person who obtained and analyzed the electronic devices in our case and reached certain opinions and conclusions, also analyzed electronic data in the Birchmore investigation.
Okay.
As it turns out, Trooper Garino made certain ultimate conclusions in at least one of his reports, stating that really there's nothing to see here. I found some text messages. They corroborate that Matthew Farwell had a consensual relationship with Sandra Birchmore. No evidence of improper.
So she's summarizing. She's saying the reports say there's nothing to see here. There's no evidence of any impropriety between Sandra Birchmore and Matthew Farwell. She's not literally saying that he wrote nothing to see here in his report. She's what's called summarizing this. Spanky. We're going to get to that.
Proper conduct, nothing to see here. Yet, when the federal investigators looked at the electronic data, they recovered tens of thousands of text messages between Birchmore and Farwell that implicated Farwell in her murder. The text messages, which are publicly available and referenced in federal search warrants, affidavits, are incredibly disturbing. They establish that he had sex with her as a minor when she was in a cadet in the Stoughton Explorers program. They detail violent fantasies. This clearly implicates Matthew Farwell. It's not even a close call. Is it relevant and material to us that the same expert would analyze a fellow officer's electronic devices and make those types of conclusions? Of course it is. This information goes directly to Garino's credibility, bias, competency, and ability to conduct an investigation in this case.
Yes.
There were law enforcement officers who should have been suspects. As to request number 5, Your Honor, we're asking for documents related to the internal affairs investigation into Trooper Michael Proctor. As the court knows, we have an ongoing Rule 17 motion as well with regard to these documents. Massachusetts State Police is an agent of the Commonwealth. The internal affairs investigation happened quite recently. We're asking the court to go ahead and order those documents because we are on the eve of trial. The administrative hearing that took place deals directly with allegations of misconduct by Trooper Proctor in this case. If Attorney Brennan's position is that these documents are not in the Commonwealth's possession, we're asking the court to go ahead and just order that information be produced so that we're not having to scramble on the eve of trial to obtain that
So if
information.
it's Rule 17 instead of Rule 14, the third party has to be served, right?
So there is an ongoing order, Your Honor, under Rule 17 as well. We already filed that, a Weenus motion back in 2022, and it was ongoing.
All right. If somebody can tell us the paper number so we can find that.
Thank you, Your Honor. I will. The Commonwealth has indicated that they do not object to requests 6 and 7, so we ask that the court allow those requests. As to requests 8 and 9, those deal with a request for communications between the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and its law enforcement agents on the one hand, and all experts retained by the Commonwealth in connection with this case. We find the Commonwealth's response to this request objecting to it particularly interesting. They claim the request is overbroad, that it is beyond the scope of Massachusetts Rule of Criminal Procedure 14. And the reason it's interesting that they're objecting to this request is because our discovery request is copied verbatim from Attorney Brennan's request as to the ARCCA experts. Now that he's on the receiving end of that request, he's objecting to it. All we're asking for are the material and relevant communications that the Commonwealth and its agents have had with their experts in preparation for this case.
Yeah, what's the big deal with that?
Proper in terms of being able to effectively cross-examine those experts. And as to request 10, Your Honor, there's no objection.
It's like you get my phone and you get to see that I've talked to who I've talked to. They subpoenaed my bank records. They subpoenaed Bill Reed and Nathan Reed's Lexus payments. I know how much they each pay off for their Lexus, for their cars every month and car payments. Like I get all that information. Thought under the assumption that I was bribed with a Lexus by Nathan Reed to do propaganda work for Karen Reed, to intimidate witnesses on behalf of Karen Reed. That's an actual theory that police investigated, and a judge signed off on a warrant to get my bank records for that. But God forbid we get text messages between some of these cops doing the investigation here. Oh, God forbid. Oh, no, we have to have a whole freaking thing for that. No, that's private. That's protective. We need a protective order for that. Oy, oy, oy.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
He did.
It's important to represent facts accurately. And the court has ordered in the past, when representations have been made, that they be accurate. We hear an echoing of a claim of Brady, but we hear no substance behind that claim from the defense as to, number one, Commonwealth is not going to make logs up that don't exist. They're not going to make a record of something that is not in writing, that there is no witness for.
Okay, so now we're going to get to the really good shit. So before we do that, let me just read some turtle chats here, will you? Okay, because I don't want to miss anyone here. A little break for turtle chats here before we get to the really good shit. All right. First up. All right. We got Mariah LaMountain sends $100. Oh man, we really need even for 100, we need a limit on the characters. This is a whole fucking paragraph. So I'll try to summarize this as best I can. We all now see Spanky is not the legal muscle he was purported to be. Every court appearance we see he lacks basic facts in the Commonwealth case in trial 1. He speaks and yet nothing comes out at all. I'm starting to believe he is on a fishing expedition on behalf of his benefactor and future defense client, Michael Meatball Morrissey, in an attempt to glean the extent of the federal investigation, of which we all reasonably suspect he's a key person of interest. Is Meatball trying to usurp what the feds have denied him by bringing Hank on? Interesting theory. Maybe Meatball is padding the coffers on the taxpayer's dime in preparation of his own defense, which may explain Hanky already making double his $75,000 contract and growing. I'm sure what the Commonwealth accuses the defense of is always a tell on themselves. It's laughable making the argument of Bederow serving two masters. Hanky doth protest too much. You're serving as Meatball's personal fuck doll while simultaneously humiliating yourself in service of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth knows Karen's innocent, but they aren't above trying to drown her in an empty attempt to save themselves, and if nothing else, punishing the both of you for exposing them. Keep up the good fight, Doc. Well, I usually put a character limit on it, but every word of that was awesome. So thank you very much, Mariah LaMountain. All right, cool. Lisa sends $10 and goes, hey, Doctor, Spanky said a whole lot of nothing today. Karen's 4 badass lawyers sit there all cool, calm, and collective and really don't have to pay attention when he speaks. You got that right. Thank you, Lisa. Petty Paralegal Del Rio sends $34, goes, I like how your shirt is getting angrier throughout the show. Is it? Thank you for everything you do for Karen Reed. Well, thank you very much, Patty. I appreciate that. The ghost of Whitey Bulger sends $5, goes, Dear Hank, I would still be alive if you weren't such a shitty lawyer. Fucking chump. Oh, shots fired. The ghost of Whitey Bulger. You killed him. You killed Whitey Bulger. If you were a good lawyer, if you were a better lawyer, Johnny Cochran would have got him off. But not you, Hank. He's dead now. You knew he was going to die when he went to jail. Fuck you, Hank. Fuck you. All right, next up. Nicole sends $10, goes, I noticed that Paul's wife, Erin, wasn't in court today. The first thing I thought of was your last live telling us about the things that you know that Paul has done. Oh, I've learned a lot more too, Paulie. I've learned a lot more. And you know what? I was going to hold on to that story, but I think it needs to come out sooner. We know about the bartender. We know about everything you've done there, Paulie. Don't keep, And again, I don't really give a shit who Paul O'Keefe is banging. I don't care. That does not concern me in the least. Okay. My issue with it is, as you're going to see, I'm a little concerned with, testimony he's given in the Kearney case and, whether or not it was accurate, if you will. Paul knows what I'm talking about. Paul knows. Paul knows the inappropriate things that he's done, and it's all coming out, Paulie. Okay. And I've been holding back on this one, but I know the jig is up, Paul. You know what you did, Paul. You haven't messaged me in a while. Or I thought we were supposed to go golfing. We were pals. Remember you said I was going to go to jail. You were going to expose me or something like that. Well, we'll see what happens with that, Paul. All right, next up. We got here. Kelly sends $10 and goes, I know you haven't covered this as of yet, but was the ADA alleging that the defense spoke with and or paid crash daddies before the voir dire trial one started? I was watching the hearing today and I couldn't believe the judge's reactions to Brennan's freaking speech. I wouldn't even categorize it as argument. We're going to get all to that, Kelly. We're going to talk all about that when we review the tape. Thank you. Courtney sends $5, goes, that's Dr. Turtleboy Kearney to you, Spanky. Put some respect on daddy's name, you little ass wedgie. I know. Next up, Man Baby Clay sends $10 and says, Daddy, can I please get a dragon drop for my would-be birthday anniversary? Thomas Autonomous Anonymous thinks I should get a puppy like Krusty's new one. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Did Krusty get a puppy? Well, hopefully she doesn't give this one away like she did with her kids. Well, they didn't give away. They were taken. So, but, can I please get a dragon drop, Clay? You know what? And Grant was outside of court today asking me, do you think it's funny to bring up abortion or whatever? I'm like, oh, no, I don't actually. What the funny part about that was there was no abortion and there was no baby. The driveway was real, but everything else involved in that story, Grant knows. Grant's not a serious person. Grant's just doing this because he thinks he's going to get a hand job at the end of it, and it's just never going to happen, Grant. You're never going to get that hand job from a whore, too. Like it should be easy, right? But even with you, it's not going to happen, my dude. Not going to happen. All right, next up. Diane sends $5 and goes, Aidan, thank you for all you've done for this movement. Please help us spread the news of Plymouth's debut of dive bar pizza nights. Starting next Wednesday, 2/26 at 5 p.m. at Monte Cristo's. There is no justice for John without freeing Karen Reed. That's actually Karen's birthday, I believe. The 1 year anniversary of my return to the Karen Reed case. I had just gotten out of jail. So 2/26. We'll see what happens. Dog Lover McSweeney sends $10, goes, don't love all the language, but I love the logic. Thank you. I do have a lot of logic here. That's true. Thank you. Sandra sends $25, goes, did Hank's demeanor change when Bev came back after her semi-stroke? He seemed a bit worried, like he fucked up by lying about info coming from the feds instead of the defense. Did he lie about not knowing the detail? Hank seemed nervous the entire. He's not as tough as he seems. Like he seemed nervous. His voice was every time he went to go speak. He was real. That guy's really nervous, dude. He is not cool at all. They presented this guy like he was cool. He's nervous, dude. That guy is like not. He does not like when daddy's in that courtroom next to him. He gets when the doctor's near him. It's not a good vibe for him. He doesn't like it. So thank you. Hashtag Hank's Buzzcut Barber sends $10, goes, hashtag Hank demanded metadata from Karen's phone, yet doesn't think the defense needs the metadata. Hashtag Hank's pants are going to catch on fire soon. It's a good point. Thank you very much. Ashley sends $5 and goes, Bill and Janet Reed have the same shirt on. It's literally the cutest thing ever. I didn't even notice that. Interesting. Aunty Bev's house, Cape House shower mat since $25 goes, in her menopausal fit, Aunty Bev got up so quick from the bench today that the courtroom must have echoed with the sound of her sweaty, pasty, white claw bloated thighs ripping away from the seasoned wood like a suction cup shower mat ripping off a soap-stained tub. Where do people come up with this shit? Okay, that's great. Awesome. Thank you, Auntie Bev's Cape House shower mat. All right. Audrey Hopping sends $10 goes, I'm a doc, and if I behave that way as Bev did, I'd have no patience. Pun intended. Oh, I see what you did there. Thank you. Jules sends $25 goes, Cannone faking a panic attack made me sick. I feel like maybe it was all a stunt to deflect from the Birchmore issues. Little reading off all the names. Now that sounded like something to clutch your pearls over. I know. It's like she had that whole Sandra Birchmore thing. And then as we're going to see, Hanky kind of changes the subject here. Mike sends $10 goes, having Trooper Paul as your expert to combat ARCCA is like bringing a dildo to a gunfight and not having a big double header either. More like a starter dildo. Okay. I didn't know there were starter dildos. Do they come in? Is that a thing? I've never purchased dildos before, but I guess it's like, oh, bro, I'm worn out. There's a lot of tires on these, a lot of miles on these tires. You know, I need the big one. Give me the BBC. Give it to me. Hook me up. I don't know. Okay. Next up, Suzanne sends $25 goes, how could the defense pay ARCCA's expenses when it was impossible for any bill to have been sent as expenses could not have been filed by the June 24th? Bev fears the feds. Good question. Not sure about that. Thank you, Suzanne. Carrie sends $10 goes, remember when Bev laughed and cracked a joke about Lally not complying to her order to give something to defense? I forgot about that. That's such a good point. That was hilarious. Remember that when she started like, okay, Mr. Lally, you got to get that to them. You know, got to get that to them. It was a joke, right? And Spanky painting you as a villain. Someone needs to remind him you are also known as Pope Turtle Boy. That's right. He needs to kiss the Pope's ring. I am the Pope. Thank you. Next up, Laura sends $5 and goes, what do you think, Aidan? Was this Hanky's big distractor? He's a putz, and this only made Bev giddy because she can't wait to get Jackson. Why does she hate him so much? Because he's too effective. She doesn't like that shit. She's old school. She says Kant. Who talks like that? She's just such a douche. Thank you. Emily sends $10 goes, hi, Dr. Turtleboy. Why did you have Runkle and Emily D. Baker on your computer screen? Were you watching or trolling? It was discussed during Emily D. Baker's live. I didn't even notice. It was just their pictures just came up. I wasn't watching them. I just randomly have pictures of them on my computer. It looked like Jill Daniels appeared there too. The glare was on there at one point. Like last week, sometimes I don't realize when my screen is being videotaped by the pool camera there. And, you know, like RIP Baby Clay comes up on there, you know, sweet Baby Clay, RIP. So I don't know. They caught me. I guess, you know, I'm a fan of those two. So thank you very much. Iceman 2.0 sends $10 goes, Dr. Turtleboy, what a juxtaposition from what Karen said in the Ted Daniel interview about facing Lally or Brennan. I don't care who we face in trial to, do your worst. And today Spanky showed us his true colors, a yellow belly coward, showing not only does he want ARCCA off the case, but Bederow, Dr. Turtleboy, and Alan Jackson. Keep up the great work, journalism, Jesus. # free Turtleboy, # free Dr. Turtleboy. Exactly. Okay. Joanne sends $25, says, I think I read that one about Howie Carr. Okay, cool. Let me see here. I got a couple cash apps here. By the way, yeah. I mean, I don't know if he seemed Seemed a little drunk today in court, that Paul. You been drinking? I think Paul might have a drinking issue. All right. Do we have any cash apps here? Yeah, we got a couple. We got Casey sends $5, goes, Doc, do you think the feds have all the Sally Port video? I don't know. I wish I'm not an expert in that. If I was Sean of the Golf, I'd be like, oh, they got everything. Indictments coming next week, but I don't know. Max Edwards sends $20, goes, did Bev figure out the Commonwealth hasn't been sharing? Yeah, I mean, I think she's known that for a while. She just doesn't care. So there's that. Debbie sends $10, has no comment. Thank you, Debbie. Yeah, let me just refresh the turtle chats here. Make sure I didn't miss any. Lori sends $10 and goes, 75-year-old mom asked me what I did today. I said, I drove to Massachusetts. I stood outside a courthouse, then hung out inside another courthouse basement with some amazing people. She goes, Karen Reed, I saw that on TV. Yeah, folks, the world is watching. P.S. Turtle Boy, you're super nice in real life. Well, thank you very much for that, Lori. I appreciate that. Bank Brennan sends $15, goes, Dr. Daddy, I'm hopeful we'll get a lot of good news for both you and Karen on March 5th. I may be biased as that's my birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Bank Brennan. But I'm happy to spread the March 5th love to my favorite Massachusetts Warriors. Much love to you, Doc, and fuck you, Brennan. I love how that's his new name, Brennan. Lisa sends $10, goes, I think Bev was shook when she came back by something bigger than Hank's lies. Any thoughts on that possibility? No, that's all she was shook by, because it's not like they gave her anything in chambers. So Nicole sends $8 and says $8 for 8,000 viewers. We had 8,000 live viewers tonight. Nice. Sweet. We are, and don't forget to give us a big thumbs up. How many thumbs up we got on this one? Do I see 142? That can't be right. It's got to be way more than that. No, 2.6 thousand. Okay, good. Keep it coming, though. You know, keep giving those thumbs up. Appreciate those. Those help with the algos, or so I'm told. Also, a shout out to Spanky. We are a movement that will never stop. Shout out to Spanky, who you know is watching tonight. He's an undercover turtle rider for sure. LOL. Hashtag free Karen Reed. You got that right. Okay, cool. All right. If anybody else wants their dono read, please click at the top for Turtle Chat, and then you can give whatever amount of money you want, and I will read your message out loud to the class when you do that. Okay, let's jump back into now the good part. Or you can cash at me at $ Uncle Turtle Boy, and we can do it that way. Let's go.
The defense has asked a chain of custody, logs, evidence, reports. If they existed, they would get them. I told the defense in an informal discovery request I would look into any chain of custody information, and I did. I've spoken to a number of witnesses, including the retired sergeant, and I expect that I will have him write a report to give to the defense.
Oh, okay.
And I'll provide them all the information that I have.
A report
about what I could find out about the tapes that were provided in this case, where they came from, who downloaded them, who touched them, and who they went to. But there are some things the Commonwealth cannot do. They cannot simply invent a log when a log does not exist.
Oh,
they
please.
Invent a chain of custody that is not in writing, and there is no.
You guys invented taillight.
My best to be thorough and diligent, and they will receive a report and have all the information that we have. It's odd that it's important during argument to mention that there's an ongoing federal investigation, and then list a number of witnesses for the Commonwealth, implying somehow something's nefarious, that these witnesses are involved in this other controversial case that has nothing to do with this case that the defense would like to parasite onto. And so they just throw out terms and words for our audience that's here on our right to try to create an illusion of impropriety. There is nothing that they have provided about the Birchmore case that would provide a basis for the Commonwealth to then now go scramble and search for information that there's no good faith actually exists. It's easy to throw out a name and attach it to the Birchmore case, troopers, the DA, malign their name the way they know how to do. But when you're arguing discovery, there must be a factual basis for it.
Oh, there's a factual. Oh, there's a. Oh, really? Like what?
We hear the defense say that Trooper Guarino says nothing to see here. I have not seen that report.
He actually said that. Oh, I didn't see the report where Trooper Guarino said nothing to see here. You got us, Spanky. He actually never wrote that in his report. There's actually no report where he says the words nothing to see here. That's busted. They almost got away with it too. But here's what it did say, Spanky. I think we found this one. Here's what the report did say. Okay. since you want to get all technical. It said this. Okay, this is a report from John Fanning involving Matthew Farwell's cell phone. It says, on February 9th, 2021, Matthew Farwell consented to a data extraction of his personal iPhone 11, which was then extracted by Trooper Nick Garino. On April 26, 2001, I, John Fanning, received his work cell phone from the Stoughton Police Department. Through Matthew's attorney, consent was given for a data extraction, which was performed by Trooper Nick Garino. So they downloaded his whole phone. I, Fanning, analyzed both of his phones and did not find any communications with Sandra Birchmore. Matt had said in a previous interview that he deleted all communications with Sandra. So case closed. But you're right. Nowhere in that report do I see the words nothing to see here. I don't see that, Spanky. So,
A factual basis for it, a factual basis, a good faith basis. We hear the defense say that Trooper Garino says nothing to see here. I have not seen that report where Trooper Garino says nothing to see here.
It's just like, how dishonest is this guy? Yeah, the report doesn't say the words nothing to see here, but it's basically what the report says. There's nothing to see here. There's no messages to read. There's no text messages. In fact, there were 32,709 text messages, and the FBI read them all. And there was actually plenty to see there. A lot of stuff about raping her, like admittance that he raped her when she was 15 years old. And then a whole bunch when she grows up, when she finally becomes old enough to consent to sex, he starts telling her that he wants her to pretend that she's 15 because he's into rape fantasies of children. Like that's what. But they literally said there is nothing to see here because we can't see it. There's nothing to see. And not without those words. You're right. Not those words. He knows exactly what they meant. He's such a piece of shit. He's such a piece of shit, Spanky. Stop it.
I don't know what report they're speaking about when they suggest Trooper Garino had done something wrong in a different case.
What?
You did? That's the basis.
You don't know what he's done?
Held discovery on a case that has nothing to do with Miss Reed's case.
Nothing to do. It's the same detective.
And so you should reject outright an argument that tries to imply impropriety when there is none.
Oh my
no
God.
Factual basis.
No factual basis.
Because they want to entertain our audience.
Audience.
And so the reality is the Birchmore.
They want to entertain the audience. That's not why. It's because it's relevant. It's the same trooper. The same trooper who said he couldn't find 32,709 text messages is the same trooper who was involved in extracting Jennifer McCabe's cell phone and couldn't find any deleted Google searches or any Google searches at all. He didn't even find the 624 Google search. Nothing. That seems relevant that this is kind of your thing. And oh yeah, he also touched the fake victim's phone in my case. And a whole bunch of messages disappeared. Like all of the ones with Tully. And all of the ones where they talk about Tully, where the fake victim and Krusty Panties start talking. On December 14th, after she meets with Tully, boom. The messages disappear. It's from the freaking Bederow letters. Go read them. This is a pattern with this guy. It's all relevant. And this guy's like, nothing to see here. You want to go there, Spanky? You want to go there, champ? We can go there.
Case is being investigated by federal authorities. There's been a number of disclosures by the Commonwealth for information that has been public record. And there is no good faith basis that there is something in that case that is relevant in any way to this case. Ms. Birchmore was a victim. Number 4, unredacted copy of all reports, communication, handwritten law enforcement notes, again, in the Birchmore case. Why?
I know. Come on, Teddy, I'll do it whenever you want.
On many cases. That case certainly has a public appeal to it because of the harshness of it, the sadness of it. But what does it have to do with this case? Nothing. But invoking it is helpful for the defense. So they do.
Look at this shit.
Reject it outright, Your Honor. Number 5, all communications, documents, reports, memorandum regarding Trooper Proctor administrative proceedings. any information in the Commonwealth's possession and control, we would and we do turn over. In addition to what's in our possession and control, we know that there's likely statements that would be helpful for the defense. So we have an affirmative obligation under Graham. In fact, I had a conversation with defense counsel, and they asked if I would join them in a phone call and speak to counsel for the state police to try to encourage the production of material.
See, like people are saying that I'm intentionally showing my screen. I can see Christina Rexis there too. She's on some sort of messenger there.
Case, whether they're exculpatory or not, even material irrelevant. And I agreed I would do that upon request. Now that call has not been set up by the defense, but when it is, if it is, I will be there and I'll advocate for them for this information. In addition, there's a Rule 17 that has been ordered by this court that imposes an ongoing duty separately upon the state police. Now, state police has certain protection where it's an internal affair investigation by law. I cannot usurp that law. I can only earnestly try to my best of my ability. I sent an email on January 28, 2025 to a number of attorneys at the state police. And I informed counsel in view of the Commonwealth's responsibilities under Brady versus Maryland in Giglio, the most recently set out in McFarland and Graham. The Norfolk District Attorney's Office is inquiring whether the Mass State Police Legal Department and law enforcement officers assigned to the State Police General Headquarters in possession of any relevant material, statements of Mr. Michael Proctor, witness statements, and any findings relative to the Department investigation.
Exactly.
To this matter.
Resting bitch
Commonwealth
face.
is under a continuing duty to inquire
Exactly.
into all relevant evidence pertaining to witnesses in the matter of Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. All potentially exculpatory and relevant evidence must be disclosed to the defense. Exculpatory evidence is any evidence that would tend to exculpate the defendant, or tend to diminish credibility. Exculpatory evidence also includes any allegations of misconduct that bear upon the truthfulness and the integrity of the investigation or could be read as suggesting bias or would question one's credibility to be impartial. In addition to any obligations under Mass Rule 14, Commonwealth alerts Internal Affairs Division of Massachusetts State Police to an ongoing Mass Rule Criminal Procedure 17 order for production of records regarding the investigation of Trooper Michael Proctor. To the extent that any records beyond that was initially produced in March 19, 2024, please provide forthwith to the Commonwealth and the defense. So we are and have made best efforts to provide all of that material. The defense
Is that?
entitled to
Oh my God.
force them or compel them, but there is.
Is that Jill Daniels? I didn't even notice that. Oh God. That I was just reviewing footage from the C.F. McCarthy's incident because I was reminded by his claim about, oh, he's intimidating witnesses. And I'm like, let me actually revisit that. And I happen to pause it right at the part where Jill Daniels shows up and goes apeshit. And I guess Court TV caught me again. Why are they always spying on me? They're always so Jill Daniels made an appearance.
17 motion and will continue to abide by our obligation and duty. Number 6 and 7, we do not object. Number 8, there is a difference between ARCCA, and we'll discuss that in more detail when we get to the ARCCA motion.
Oh, yes.
And expert discovery. We have provided, there's a difference between ARCCA as an expert witness and typical expert witnesses. I can assure the court that we provided our entire case file for our accident reconstruction expert. We provided all of our materials for all of our experts. The discussion between the experts, the oral discussion between the experts and me cannot be replicated. If there was anything inconsistent or exculpatory or helpful for the defense, I would reduce it to writing and I would provide it to them. They have all the materials our experts relied upon. They have all of the reports. They have all the raw data. They have the research material. I do not believe that tracking phone calls for a regular expert is possible, number one, and has any relevance whatsoever. It is different for ARCCA. And again, I'll delve into that when we talk about ARCCA because that is a very unique situation. We have been very broad in our expert disclosures. Written communications, number 9, email, text message between Norfolk County DA's office, law enforcement, and any expert. Again, there's scheduling issues. I've been through emails and text messages, and I have given a healthy production. And
Okay.
I received production from 2 troopers in this case that I have to review. I received at the end of last week, and I'll continually look through all correspondence available to me.
Yeah.
14 materials and provide it.
Sure you will, Hank. Get to the good stuff. Okay.
All right. Any follow-up, Ms. Little?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. So I'll take that into
The motion.
Yeah, we'll have to find. I mean, we're food employees of ARCCA, paper now.
Here we go.
In the
ARCCA stuff. Here we go. Here we go.
Your Honor, my purpose is not to deprive the defense of an expert.
Oh, really?
Or deprive the defense of an ARCCA expert in this case. But there has to be a minimum requirement of reciprocal discovery and discovery before a party can call a witness.
Okay.
It's not enough to say that the witness is helpful or unhelpful. There has to be full disclosure when calling an expert. It's interesting that the defense's position is that the information is unavailable to them, and that since there's been a voir dire and trial testimony, that should be enough. Well, what the government worries about is that there is other things that are relevant, like compensation, promise, reward, inducement, whether there's collaboration between one side or the other in that expert witness that they don't know about and can't ask about, that there's some type of bias or favoritism that the expert might have towards one side for whatever reason. So if that information is not disclosed, then it is not only an impediment, it creates.
I mean, this is what they're going for. that there's favoritism from ARCCA. ARCCA just follows the science. If the science favors Karen Reed, it's probably because she's innocent. I'm sorry that the science in the physics, which is what they testified about, the science and the physics of it all, says that John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car. I know that's incredibly inconvenient for your case, Spanky, but it's not favoritism. It just means that the science says that you're wrong. Maybe you shouldn't be pursuing this case then. The second that report came out from ARCCA and said that John O'Keefe wasn't hit by a car, any ethical prosecutor would have dropped charges, but not you guys. No, you had to get your payday, didn't you, Spanky? You got to get paid. Yeah.
A position where it is an unfair examination. It's not the ARCCA witnesses that I have the issue with. It's the issue, the fact that I don't have adequate discovery.
Oh,
The
right.
defense is going to be a proponent of those witnesses. They have obligations, Rule 14 obligations for basic discovery. Now, I wasn't at the last trial, but I've read the transcripts.
Okay.
On June 10, 2024.
June 10th.
I
Okay.
asked the defense
Remember the dates.
about ARCCA, and it was represented these experts were hired by the federal government, and they provided a report to us pursuant to a TUI request. It was specifically outlined and ruled that they could not prep with us for trial. Could not prep with us for trial.
So this took place at Sidebar. The dates are important. June 10th, 2024. That is the day that Michael Proctor, I believe, testified for the first time. And at Sidebar, he's reading something out, and they must have discussed ARCCA coming up. And they said that they could not. What do you say that they talked about, Rowan? That
And it was represented for basic discovery. Now, I wasn't at the last trial, but I've read the transcripts. And on June 10, 2024, you asked the defense about ARCCA, and it was represented these experts were hired by the federal government, and they provided a report to us pursuant to a TUI request. It was specifically outlined and ruled that they could not prep with us for trial. Could not prep with us for trial.
could not prep with
So,
us
Your
for
Honor, so
trial.
I'm to believe that the defense is calling 3 witnesses that you've never spoken to and putting them on the stand here. The answer, that's essentially it. We've spoken to them only for purposes of coordinating their testimony and their background. We've not been able to interview them regarding their findings, which are outlined in detail in the reports that both sides have. Your Honor said, see, I don't see that as being the report. I don't see that as being detailed. It leaves a lot of questions as the gatekeeper as to what they can testify. And you have not complied with your Rule 14 obligations. And the defense says, we can't, Your Honor. And Your Honor said, so you can't, but you haven't. So I'm left with that. You have not complied.
Okay. So they are at the Sidebar, and they say that we've gotten this report. So the TUI report comes in on February 20th. This 3,000-page federal report outlining everything that they've gotten. They give it to both sides. Laura McLaughlin gets up there and says, yeah, this basically just confirms our entire investigation. As it turns out, it doesn't. The ARCCA thing is in there. That wasn't in your investigation. A whole bunch of shit. So they read the report and they're like, okay, ARCCA is in the report. And so they'd never spoken to ARCCA before. So now the government, the federal government, gives them permission to reach out to the ARCCA experts. You can use them. Either side can. Adam Lally can use them too. He didn't want to because he didn't like what they said. They didn't like what Lucky Loughran said, which is why they hid him for so long. But we found him. So they now, like after they get that report on February 20th, they are free to reach out to them to discuss testifying. But listen to what they said at Sidebar.
The defense is calling 3 witnesses that you've never spoken to and putting them on the stand here. And the answer, that's essentially it. We've spoken to them only for purposes of coordinating their testimony and their background. We've not been able to interview them regarding their findings, which are outlined in detail in the reports that both sides have. Your Honor said, see, I don't see that as being the report. I don't see that as being detailed. It leaves a lot of questions as the gatekeeper as to what they can testify. And you have not complied with your Rule 14 obligations. And the defense says, we can't, Your Honor. And Your Honor said, so you can't, but you haven't. So I'm left with that. You have not complied.
Okay.
The transcript is this.
On page 2812 and 2813 of June 10, 2024. Now, having some familiarity with the federal government,
Oh, some familiarity.
it seemed to me based on my limited experience, there was much more to the story. So I called the federal government and I tried to.
I called the federal government. So 1-800 federal government. I called them up. He's like, there's more to the story here. I want to find out when they started communicating with these people. And I want to find out because he doesn't like what they're saying. Like that's all this comes down to is ARCCA said that he wasn't hit by a car. So he's like looking for some sort of technicality here about how to get this all thrown out. That's all this is. That's all this is. A desperate attempt to prevent the truth from coming out in court. That's all this is. Don't get it twisted.
To encourage them to provide full discovery so that the experts could testify. I was resigned to a TUI letter. I've been down that road many times. It's a dark road that never sees the light of day.
A dark road?
So I filed a TUI letter, comprehensive TUI letter. And it was delayed. And over a long period of time with requests and deadlines, I finally received a response that was unresponsive.
Okay.
And it was striking that it wasn't noted as unresponsive. Just when I read the materials, and Attorney McLaughlin actually identified them. They didn't respond to our request, so Attorney McLaughlin wrote back. And then we got new materials, just some. But these materials are the very reason why the defense should not be able to call witnesses without giving full discovery.
So he contacted the feds, and they ignore him at first, and then they contacts him again, and the feds get back to him this time. And they send him this letter. Now, this is the letter that Spanky wanted to be impounded. We don't get to read this letter. I wonder if this letter confirms that the federal investigation is ongoing, because this guy wants everything impounded. And I could remember those last letters between the U.S. Attorney's Office and Michael Morrissey all got released to the public. And they were just like showed how, oh yeah, we have a completely different assessment of this investigation than you do. Yeah. So Spanky doesn't want this letter shown. And I wonder why that is. Yeah, maybe it's a distractor.
Having not been to the last trial and reading the transcripts, I only have a flavor for the last trial.
Okay.
So there is email correspondence between the defense, not only the federal government, but the ARCCA witnesses themselves. A recent request for their appearance pursuant to TUI, which I have no issue with. But if we look back earlier in the relationship, what we see back in March 22nd, 2024, is that there are conversations between the defense, Attorney Jackson, and Daniel Wolf.
Okay.
One of these ARCCA
On which date?
earlier in the relationship.
On February. On
what we see back in March 22nd, 2024.
Okay, so March 22nd, 2024. So this is a month after they get the TUI reports, before the trial starts. The federal government has given permission to the defense to reach out to the ARCCA experts, because they're in the report, and speak to them about testifying. You're allowed to do that. You are allowed to do that, but go ahead.
Is that there are conversations between the defense, Attorney Jackson, and Daniel Wolf, who's one of these ARCCA witnesses. Thank you so much for taking the time to get on the phone with me this morning pursuant to our conversation. Please feel free to forward an engagement letter to this email address. I will get that countersigned and returned to you forthwith, along with the retainer as required. Commonwealth, as I understand it, was not aware of any promised rewards or inducements or payment. They relied on a reciprocal discovery order of this court for that information. Response: Hi, Alan. Subsequent to our conversation on Wednesday, the U.S. Attorney's Office asked we pause any further conversation until we receive additional information from their office regarding how our involvement will move forward. Now, it's not the opinion that troubles me. It's the relationship, and Commonwealth should have an even playing field. Saturday, June 22nd, Daniel Wolf writes, Alan, I spent some time this morning putting together a brief outline.
So Saturday, June 22nd. So I don't hear any evidence that they ever paid them right there. And even if they did, okay, how much did they pay him? And what were they paying them for? Because there's a big difference between paying somebody to testify and paying for their room and board, right? It's like, why should Daniel Wolf pay out of pocket to come here and testify? I mean, so it's gonna cost him money. No, I mean, it's pretty standard. My question is, how much did the Commonwealth pay Ian Whiffen and Jessica Hyde? Do we get to find that out? Do we get to or is that impounded? Do we not get to know that? How much did Ian Whiffen have to pay for his own hotel room and his own plane from Calgary? Is that how that worked? How much did that cost him? How did you guys find? Do we get to read all the communications between them? How did you find Ian Whiffen, of all people? Like, you just randomly found that guy 8 months later in like November. You just found him. Oh, okay. He's your expert. And like, how did you just throw him up there blindly? Like, yeah, you're going to be our expert. Or did you know going into it that he was going to say that Jennifer McCabe didn't Google that at 227? Did you know that? But yet we have to read all about, I mean, this is how trials work, is it not? You talk to your witnesses. If they're going to say things that you want them to say that are favorable to your client, then they're going to do so. Now, the difference between Ian Whiffen and the Crash Daddies is that Ian Whiffen has another expert that says he's full of shit. That's Richard Green. So there's two experts saying they're both saying the other one's full of shit. Okay. At best, you get a wash there. The Crash Daddies, the Commonwealth doesn't have an expert to say they're full of shit. That's the difference between these two. But go ahead, Spanky.
Under my qualifications, also attach my D&T list. I obviously won't say what the response is verbatim, but I gave you a general sense of what my response would be. Again, I thought your questioning during the voir dire was fantastic, so please feel free to make whatever changes you feel necessary. Now, this isn't information provided by the defense in reciprocal discovery. This is information provided by the federal government after numerous requests, 2 requests, and an insistent.
What was that, Paul?
Now, this isn't information provided by the defense in reciprocal discovery. This is information provided by the federal government after numerous requests, 2 requests, and
Oh, that's an eye scratch. Okay.
an insistent the best I can to get as much information as I can. We then have provided an outline of questions and answers for a direct examination. The Commonwealth did not have the luxury, the privilege, did not even know that there was an outline that was being disseminated by this totally independent witness who took no side other than that of the truth. What follows from this outline is then the outline with remarks from this independent expert who knows nobody. So we see in the margins in the notes, this fair-minded objective witness says, so not being able to inspect the vehicle is something that's not uncommon in your line of work. And he writes, absolutely not. And then he comments, not sure if you want to put this somewhere in the direct examination. I have a feeling they, the Commonwealth, are going to argue. I didn't personally inspect the vehicle. I had enough information from the material I reviewed, so it wasn't necessary. Need to show the jury. It doesn't matter in this case.
What's the date of that?
It's not dated. It's not dated.
Oh, so we don't know when that is.
The TUI request is a recent February response, but they send random documents. There's no real accounting. Now, I'm not saying that undermines the conclusions of ARCCA. I'm not saying they're not qualified witnesses, but it certainly shows some bias. I've turned over a lot less in this case than this. Another comment. Would it be fair to say because you had a lot of nighttime visibility work, your cases frequently involve pedestrians? Yes, unfortunately, there's a direct correlation between the time of day and pedestrian fatalities. Statistically speaking, most pedestrian fatalities occur during the evening and night hours. That would have been nice to have. So my specialty in the area of lighting and human factors results in a lot of my cases involving pedestrians.
So that would have been nice to have. Oh, because John O'Keefe was killed at night. So therefore, oh, right. What? How would Hank use that information to his advantage? Like, duh. I would guess that more accidents happen at night because it's fucking dark. Duh. But the thing about that, you know why more pedestrian accidents happen at night? Because they're accidents. Because somebody didn't see somebody, right? Because it's dark. You're alleging that this was on purpose, stupid. You're alleging this wasn't a fucking accident. So what are you even talking about? How is that helpful to you? Like, oh shit, we could have totally impeached him. Then the ARCCA experts wouldn't be believed. I mean, what the fuck? This is the best he has.
Pretty important stuff in this case. And then he comments, if you don't want me to say this, that's fine. That's fine. Shh. Don't tell them.
Oh yeah. Don't tell them. Oh yeah.
Have you qualified as an expert in court before? Yes. I realized my testimony, I said it 20 times when you asked how many I've been qualified. I misinterpreted the question. My fault. 11 trials, 7 depositions. Not sure if you want me to clear that up. I don't know if it was ever cleared up. And then a bill from ARCCA to the defense for $23,925. That's not trample. That's not trial by ambush. That's getting duped. So I didn't know any of this, but I've tried a few cases. I've been around the federal court a little bit. I know how it works. Sometimes parties pick sides. It creates an imbalance and unfairness, and then it allows the ability of one side to use ghosts. They create illusions and shields and say something's there and something's happening, a federal investigation, and this person, and then this happens. I don't care if the ARCCA witnesses testify at trial. I don't care about their opinions, but I care that it's unfair, imbalanced, and hidden. And the Commonwealth, like the defense, is entitled to discovery. So if they can produce the discovery, I'd welcome ARCCA.
I'm going to take a recess.
So she's like, I'm going to take a recess. So, oh, there's Bukaki, Brokeback Bukaki. He made an appearance as well. So then we go in I realized I thought she had to take a shit or something at first. I'm like, what is happening right now? And it was like 30 minutes off. And we're like, what is happening right now? And she came back all fired up. Now, quick review, some new footage. Obviously, the internet sleuths have gotten to the bottom of this, and Brandy Churchwell is chief among them, as she always is. Okay. To be clear, the nighttime visibility factor was also brought up during voir dire. Dr. Wolf explains it, and Lally asks him if it was a factor. So watch this.
So I do a lot of nighttime visibility work where, for instance, let's say a pedestrian's coming out onto the roadway at night. Maybe it's not a lit roadway and you're relying on your vehicle headlights to illuminate that pedestrian. So it's determining when would a driver recognize that individual on the roadway based upon the headlights, if there is any artificial lighting, their clothing. And then we look at how do drivers respond based upon that scenario that they're presented with. So I do a lot of nighttime visibility.
You testified about some other areas of expertise as far as human factors, visibility, luminescence, things like that. You didn't do any of those things here, correct?
Wasn't part of my scope in this case.
Okay, so to be clear, the nighttime visibility factor was also brought up during the voir dire. He explains it, and Lally asks him if it was a factor, and he said no. Okay. And so then she goes on to say, and thank God for the internet, because you could just find the shit from other people. It's great. Dr. Wolf said there's a direct correlation between the time of day and pedestrian fatalities. Brennan reads this in court and says, that would have been nice to have. Here's Dr. Wolf saying exactly that during his direct testimony in his first trial. Then when Dr. Wolf says a lot of his cases involve pedestrians, Brennan says pretty important stuff in this case. Yup, that's why Dr. Wolf testified to it at the trial. Then Brennan suggests that the defense doesn't want Dr. Wolf to testify, doing his dramatic shh, don't tell thing. Funny, Alan Jackson is the one asking these questions, and Dr. Wolf is obviously not hiding anything. Jackson said he talked to the ARCCA and experts about background, for example, his nighttime visibility work in his cases frequently involving pedestrians, and scheduling. Brennan just misrepresented all of this, plus told the judge that he didn't. Okay, so let's watch this.
Fair to say because you had a lot of nighttime visibility work, your cases frequently involve pedestrians. Yes, unfortunately, there is a direct correlation between the time of day and pedestrian fatalities. Statistically speaking, most pedestrian fatalities occur during the evening and night hours. That would have been nice to have.
Oh, yeah.
So my specialty in the area of lighting and human factors results in a lot of my cases involving pedestrians. Pretty important stuff in this case. And then he comments, if you don't want me to say this, that's fine. That's fine. Shh. Don't tell them. Fair to say because
a great deal of my work is in the field of lighting and visibility. So there's a direct correlation between time of day and pedestrian incidents. We see a rise in the evening and night hours just due to drivers having a difficult ability to try to perceive and recognize individuals. So I certainly see a lot of pedestrian collisions in my casework. A great deal of my
He actually said that. Shh, don't tell. Motherfucker, he told. You might want to go watch that, Spanky. You might want to go watch that. He talked about that. Oops. Tough day for Spanky. Oh, not so sharp after all. Okay. How about this one from Flip Ahead? Prior to Bev's freakout, Hank Brennan made a claim that the federal government turned over the Commonwealth emails between the Commonwealth and ARCCA. So this is what he claims. This is what got her all mad.
On February 11th, we filed the motion to exclude. February 13th, the defense provided us the emails that I read.
Oh.
2025. I think I said the federal government. It was the defense.
Oh, so before she does her freak out. Oh, I got it. So he said before she freaked out, he got her all upset because he said the federal government handed us over these emails, which would sound like the federal government now is trying to help the Commonwealth because they think that the defense is being shady. I think that's what Hank wanted, but it was an accident. He meant to say the defense handed us these emails, which means they're trying to be transparent and they have nothing to hide. That's also, what that means. So that's interesting. Joe Flipperhead, there's a lot of good content out there today. Let me click on his Flipperheads thing today. He had some good stuff. Why didn't you mention when Alan Jackson said in court in front of Bev during the first? Oh, this chick. I can't even listen to her. Wait for us. This isn't information. Okay.
By the defense municipal discovery. This is information provided by the federal government after numerous requests, 2 requests.
So again,
Now, this isn't information provided by the defense in reciprocal discovery.
It's not
This is
provided
information
by the-
provided by the federal government after numerous requests.
Oh,
requests,
the federal government
and-
provided it.
And insistent the best I can to get as much information as I can.
Oh, okay. So the federal government. Oh, except they didn't. So that's a lie. So he intentionally lied about that. You know, she just got all emotional. She got all emotional. So, let's go back and watch what happens when she comes back from break, shall we? And the new ceiling fan, different ceiling fan this time around. Okay. So she comes back all fired up.
All right. So the Commonwealth just provided the court with information that causes me grave concern.
Grave
The
concern.
implications of that
Look at her.
information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel.
Look at the way she's breathing. She's had 30 minutes to chill out here. Look at her thumbs. She says, I've just been, listen to what she says.
The court with information that causes me grave concern.
Grave concern.
The implications of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel.
May have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel. What?
So for that reason, I'm going to suspend today so that when we meet again to address these issues, all affected will be appropriately prepared. So I'll see you a week from today.
Look
at
at
11 o'clock in the morning. You can tell me now if that is impossible for you.
She's like breaking down. She's taking her ball and going home. We still have the whole, she had to fly all these lawyers in for this, and she's literally breaking down. Oh my God, she's going nuts. She's losing it. And then let's Hanky speak again. Look at her. Look at her.
And
she's having a panic
where the-
attack.
Mr. Brennan, where the federal authorities have been kind enough in the past to allow me to have copies of everything, would you be kind enough to call over there or check with whomever you were dealing with to see if I can in fact get a copy of everything that you just read?
He didn't get it from the feds. He got it from them. He said he got it from them. What are you talking about? And like the whole heavy breathing, and look at her.
Canon is a brief chronology I think Your Honor should be aware of. If I could add that right now, it would
Oh.
take me less than a minute.
Oh, yeah, let's hear it.
Chronology is December 4th. We sent another tour request, 2024. January 6th, we filed our notice of intention to exclude ARCCA experts. January 30th, 2025, the United States Attorney's Office sent a response to both ours and the defense requests. Without any prompting, on February 6th, 2025, the defense and the prosecution received an email from the U.S. Attorney's Office saying that the contract had ended with the ARCCA experts and that if either party wanted to engage, the original materials are still protected. This was a change in position about whether a party could engage. On February 11th, we filed the motion to exclude. February 13th, the defense provided us the emails that I read. February 13th, 2025, I think I said the federal government. It was the defense. February 13th, 2025, they sent us the emails and the direct examination outline. We reached out to the federal government again because I was curious about the change in position on February 6th that the contract has ended, but that parties could contact ARCCA. Obviously, the Commonwealth is in no position to contact ARCCA because that would naturally preclude the defense from retaining them. So we've refrained and we will not reach out to them.
All right. So the information that was provided to you, not from the federal government, I'd like a copy of before you leave the courthouse today.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Yes, Your
11
Honor.
o'clock a week from today.
Your Honor, is it possible to?
And then this, watch this.
One day to the 26th instead of the 25th.
It would have to be at 9 o'clock in the morning.
On the 26th.
You're going to hand up the discovery. That was
Thank you.
provided by the time of the reference time.
Oh, great. Thank you. We can do the afternoon of the 25th if the morning doesn't work.
The problem I have, Your Honor, is I've got a hearing on the 24th. I have to fly on the 24th, even if you do.
So you can be on Zoom for this if you want, Mr. Jackson.
Oh my God, you can be on Zoom for this. It's about him. It's literally about him, obviously, and you can be on Zoom for this, Mr. Jackson. Give me a break. She loves telling me he can come on Zoom. She hates when he's in.
Here, but I have to accommodate whatever the court's calendar is. That's the court's schedule. If we can do it live, I'd rather do it live, but I will accommodate the court's calendar.
Are all parties available at 9 on the 26th?
Nah,
Yeah.
I'm not. So unless he's not available at 9, yeah.
Thank you.
It's hard to manage these many lawyers.
Your Honor, we'll accommodate the 25th.
Okay. All right. So we'll see everyone.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. Just on behalf of Mr. Alessi, is there any chance the court would entertain the motion that he's doing today or no?
No.
No.
All right. 11
What a
o'clock on the
cunt. No. What a see you next Tuesday. I tried listening on what they said there. I couldn't hear it. So, I mean, unbelievable. So let me go back to Flipperhead's Twitter here because he's got some good some tweets out here. A lot of good content on Twitter today. Grave concern. In one breath, Cannone states the implication of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel. Moments later, suspending the hearing, she tells Jackson he can do the hearing about the grave concern on Zoom. I mean, that's an oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You guys remember when Adam Lally lied to the court when he tried to get Dr. Turtleboy removed because of jury tampering with Karen Reed, even though the Lally knew a grand jury found no evidence. I forgot about that. That's right. Remember he lied about me? He goes, they're still under investigation for witness. I forgot about that lie. He said that we're still under investigation for conspiracy to commit witness intimidation. He said that in May. The grand jury had been convened in March and found no true bill. So he knew that to be a lie when he said that in court on that day. I forgot about that. I mean, his biggest lie was when he said that Karen Reed, when she was like arrested in June of 2022, said that she made statements about Colin Albert and Brian Albert, like witnessing them hitting somebody, bashing his head into the taillight, and then they play the video of her booking and nothing of the sort is said, like literally nothing of the sort. Like there's just so many lies. All right, cool. So yeah, I mean, I wish somebody said to Bev, yelled at Bev during the heresy fit, we don't have time for the dramatics. We have to keep rushing everything along to start the trial April 1st. I know. Was ARCCA supposed to magically know that they had to testify? Wouldn't whoever is calling them to testify have to contact them? Was ARCCA supposed to pay for their own travel and time to testify? Karen Reed didn't pay them to investigate. That was the FBI. Like, that's the thing. It's like these guys were paid $500,000 by the federal government to do this. That's where most of their money, $23,000 ain't no thing. So I think what's going to happen is she's just going to go in there and lecture them. They'll come back with their story on next week, and they'll have I'm sure there's an explanation for whatever the fuck they're saying here. It's not a big deal. She's going to yell at them and make them feel bad. And ultimately, at the end of the day, nothing's going to happen. Aunty Bev is not going to kick Alan Jackson off this case. That will not happen. Okay. If she did that, it would be a huge Sixth Amendment. It would, first of all, her number one goal is starting this on April 1st. That will mean it's not happening April 1st because she'll be able to appeal this and shit. Like, she has a right to a fucking attorney. That's insane. AJ's not going anywhere as much as they would like him to be. And this is all Hanky wants. This is all he can do, is just try to make life difficult for them. And I don't think it's going to work. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the next trial today. Don't worry about today. Today's fine. It was just her being Aunty Bev being Aunty Bev. Nothing's going to happen. AJ will be fine, protected at all costs. He's not going nowhere. And we'll be good. So let me read. Everything will be explained, I'm sure. Just let it be. All right. Let me read some more turtle chats here. How's the audience? Let's see. We got over 7,400 people still. Nice. Big audience tonight. Danielle sends $25 and goes, Doc, please play Microdot's new video. It's quick and shows how bad she's shaking. Oh, I need to do that right now, actually. Let me go to Microdots. Good idea. Micro dots. There's just so much content to consume today. There's just a lot of content to consume. Is it on his Twitter? I don't see it on YouTube. Let me go to his Twitter. Micro dots.
Absolve them of their Rule 14 obligations.
Oh, that's not the one we need. That's a nice picture. If it wasn't for the distraction, everyone would be talking about how much Elizabeth Little crushed it. I know. She did crush it today. She was awesome. That's such a cool picture right there. That's a great picture. Oh, here it is. The close-up of her shaking.
The Commonwealth just provided the court with information that causes me grave concern. The implications of that information.
She's having a
may
panic
have
attack.
Profound effects on this defense and defense counsel. So for that reason, I'm going to suspend today so that when we meet again to address these issues, all affected will be appropriately prepared. So I'll see you a week from today at 11 o'clock. I'll see you a week from today.
Look at that.
At 11 o'clock in the morning. You can tell me now if that is impossible for you.
Look at her. She's shaking, dude. Why is she like this? Why is she having a mental breakdown over this? Look at that.
And where Mr. Brennan, where the federal authorities have been kind enough in the past to allow me to have copies of everything.
Look at that.
Would you be kind enough to call over there or check with whomever you were dealing with to see if I can in fact get a copy of everything that you just read?
The defense provided us the emails that I read February 13th, 2025. I think I said the federal government. It was the defense. February 13th,
Oh, oops.
2025. They sent us the emails and
Yeah.
the direct examination outline.
Yeah, it turns out you were shaking over nothing, dear. Yikes. Like that's crazy. That literally it's the meme. I'm literally shaking. Oh my God. It shook her to her core. Holy shit. She's just looking for, she's just scaring him. She's giving him a hard time. Jolie sends $10, goes, why did the defense give them the emails? Was it sent by mistake? Because clearly they felt nothing wrong about it. They were just trying to assume their reciprocal discovery obligations. They're required to hand them over. So there's that. Eileen sends $10, goes, what do you think about the jurors saying that Lucky was the least credible? I think that's retarded. No offense to Ronnie, but he was speaking on behalf of other jurors. They thought that, he said, but that's crazy that Lucky was the most credible, if anybody. So thank you. Jen Altman sends $25. She goes, not understanding why people are upset about the defense talking to ARCCA after the voir dire. He was prepping a witness the same way the Commonwealth prepped theirs. I'm sure if ARCCA had a different opinion, Lally would have tons of communication with them. That's the thing. The voir dire was June 18th. He says that they emailed each other June 22nd, and then he testifies June 24th. Literally every Commonwealth witness admitted that they prepped with Lally. All of them did. Every single one of them. Lucky Loughran prepped with David Yannetti. There's a fucking picture. Remember, Michael Proctor said his sister was being bullied at school because of that. It's like they prepped their witnesses. What's the big deal? And all he was going to say is like, yeah, the science and the physics. He didn't get by a car. So there's that. All right. Janice sends $10, goes, pay attention to Brennan when Bev takes her recess. He runs out of the courtroom and is out of the room before Bev. My assumption is he ran out to give her something. Well, I don't know about that. Callie sends $20, goes, Spanky mocks the defense for saying Garino said nothing to see here. And yet I can't even tell the difference between when he's actually reading AJ's emails and Dr. Wolf and when he's adding his own cringy mocking comments. What a douche. Yeah, I don't think that's a good point. That's a good point. That Alan Jackson should say, nowhere in the emails do I say, shh, don't say anything. That never came up. I don't remember reading any reports where somebody said, shh, don't say anything. What a fucking little nerd. He's just such a nerd. You can tell this guy's whole childhood. He was picked on. He's just such a nerdlinger. Just the way he looked at me today. He was mad because he looked at me and is like, that guy is not a nerd. That guy was, that guy was cool. And he's still cool. And I'm Hank Brennan. And I'm a big shot. And I have a 3-piece suit on today. And who's the nerd now, turtle fucker? Just the way he looked at me. And like it. All right. Next up. Jolie. No, I think I read this. Okay. All right. I don't think I read this actually. This is $10 from Jolie. Judge Bev needs to leave her pussy at home and suck it up. I don't know how she's going to leave her pussy at home, but she should leave her attitude at home. Jolie, how about that instead of her pussy? Thank you. Do we have any other turtle chats here? No. Cash apps. Do we have any cash apps here? Yeah, we got the Rogue Townie sends $20 and goes, just because. Well, thank you, Rogue Townie. EMC sends $10 and goes, oops, motherfucker told. Don't know what that means, but thank you, EMC. Then EMC sent $10 and goes, Bev's fake rage the week before a dismissal motion. Interesting, too. Beverly sends $20 and goes, I took baby Clay to Las Vegas. We're having fun, dads. I thought he was dead. Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear he's still alive. Thank you. Okay, cool. I think that's about it. Let me just refresh the turtle chats. I don't want to miss anyone. Oh, yeah. Bev's grave hairstyle sends $20 and goes, all of today was theatrics in order to detract from the massive injustice of Brady violations, missing evidence, failure to preserve evidence, the Birchmore issues, etc. This lady needs to get a grip on reality. Does she understand she appears as a clown to the world? I would review her years in public defender's office to see how close she was with the state. Lots of time. They work hand in hand. I mean, that's fair to doubt whether or not this woman's corrupt. What's going on with her? What's going on with Aunty Bev? Or is she just a statist? And a lot of these people are just statists and they just go along. They just don't. She doesn't like Karen Reed. She doesn't like Alan Jackson. But you're absolutely right that nobody's talking about the Sandra Birchmore shit that Eliza Little brought up. She was awesome today. Her thunder was stolen. Nobody's talking about this other reciprocal discovery that they're clearly using to their advantage, and all this other shit that was brought up, all this stuff that hasn't been given to them, Sallyport videos, we still haven't got them yet. And nobody's talking about that because Aunty Bev couldn't control her emotions. She could not control her emotions. And she came across as an unhinged female who isn't up for the job because she let her emotions take over. And people like her are the reason that women couldn't vote until 1920. They gave all women a bad name. There's nothing wrong with me saying that. It's 100% true. And fuck off if you don't like it. Okay. All right. Anybody else got anything to say before we call it a night? I mean, it's been a good show. Good 3-hour show. A lot to talk about tonight. I'm guessing that's true. She probably went through menopause 10 years ago. You're right. Who am I kidding? Okay. Yeah, the Paul story's coming. Don't you worry. It's coming, baby. So, all right, guys, I am going to call it a night. I see your point now for sure. Exactly. Thank you, Pat. Thank you for seeing my point. All right, good audience tonight. I love you, fine people. Stay tuned. We got more coming this week, and we will see you guys for Sex Cult Thursday night. All right. Peace, Turtle Riders.